to the party, everybody. I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. How is everybody doing tonight? Big shout out to the replay gang. Thank you so much, guys, for coming back to watch this, even though you missed the live party. That is, in fact, the best part. But don't worry, you will still very much enjoy this. Just make sure you are here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and you will never, ever, ever miss an Indian Jesus live party again. You already saw it real quick, struggle streaming, but thank you to mysickshirt.com, the sponsor of this stream. Whatever your persuasion, they've got something for you. And of course, it is the only place to get your very own The Indian Jesus official merch. Only at mysickshirt.com. All right. What is good, guys? So last week I forgot my candle here. Last week, we talked a little bit about David Pakman, and he was on the Triggernometry podcast maybe 8 months ago, I believe. And that podcast was, it was good. It was interesting, and he was definitely exposed for being a grifter and a fraud and a loser. But, Trigonometry didn't really push back as much as I wish they would have. Unfortunately, similarly to how Ben Shapiro was with Anna Kasparian the other night. But we have the YouTube gods have answered my prayers, and we got a good one here. So you saw the thumbnail, Patrick Bet-David of valuetainment. So all I skipped was kind of just the introduction, even though you guys know I love my context. Patrick Bet-David, if you don't know him by name, as soon as you see his face, you'll know him. This is David Pakman, and they are getting into their whole thing. He is a progressive commentator. So let's get into it.
How do you handle the whole...
Oh, wrong. What the hell happened there? Struggle streaming. I was working all day, and I got home just in enough time to get all of this together and make sure it is good. So let's double check. We got the screen and the audio. So if you cannot hear the audio, please do let me know.
but even for yourself as a content creator,
oh, too fast. Struggle streaming.
Do you miss him as a content? Like, would you selfishly forget about politically? Of course, you don't want him. You would have probably had Bernie over Biden. I would assume maybe somebody else. Who would have been your guy if you had your choice?
Yeah, I mean, I think Bernie is the closest when you look at policy to me, but I've been very critical of the way Bernie runs his campaign. Bernie talks about he's a socialist. I'm not a socialist, and I don't actually think Bernie ran on a socialist platform. But we can get to that. But I've said to my audience, Trump was great for shows like mine. There's no question about it, right? Like speaking, if I was voting not for what I think is best for the country, but what's best for me financially, of course, Trump was a gold mine. There's no question about it.
So
So that right there, that's a slight admission of the grift. That like, oh yeah, I just he was good for content.
Who did you want? Like, if you were to say, like today, you have your choice on who can be the president. Who would you like?
It's the reason I'm going to answer the question, but the reason that it's a hard question to answer in that way is there's policy and there's who could win, who would be good at governing, who understands how to make compromise and sort of how politics is done. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a ton of really interesting people that do well in all of these areas, and I'll give you a few names. And this is now for my audience, because if what I'm about to say, they'll say you're just the insult in my space is you're a lib, meaning I'm not aggressive. I'm not left enough. Right? Okay.
You're not left enough. Well, let's see if we think that David Pakman is not left enough.
I think folks like it's crazy.
A lib.
Yeah. I think the people that are striking the right balance right now between policy and rhetoric and ability to actually be good politicians are people like, and this is going to be crazy, okay, Gavin Newsom, Pete Buttigieg, Stacey Abrams, Katie Porter in California. I think these are really interesting folks.
Hey, we got Monza West in the building. What is good? Oh, what is good? What is good? Welcome to the party. It says people need to start to vote what is best for us economically instead of what is best for our feelings. 100% agree. It is it's all about feelings these days. And the problem is not that, somebody asked me yesterday, in politics, do you think policy or feelings are more important? And I had to think on it for a second, because naturally you want to think that, yeah, of course, policy and facts are more important. But the problem is most people don't know or care about the facts. And so exactly what Monso West is saying here is I think feelings are a bigger factor, but I don't think that is a good thing. So welcome to the party, Monsa. Glad you are here.
Folks who I don't necessarily agree with them on all policy, but I think they bring a few things that are important. They're younger. Right now, I think there's a problem where it's sort of like old guy after old guy after old guy on both sides. We're seeing this to a degree, so I like that. I think they bring some progressive policies that are interesting without really being brandable as being socialists, and I think that that's all really important right now for the left.
So what do you like about? So okay, so let's stay with who we currently have right now. So today, Biden.
Yeah.
What's he doing good? What do you think he's not doing good?
Okay, so
everything.
If I were to say here are the things that Biden got done that are accomplishments that are important and things that are worth doing. At a time where I think it was necessary, he did that third COVID stimulus. Remember, Trump did 2 of them, and Biden did the third one. I think at the time it made sense, and he didn't include as much of this, or really any, if I recall, the PPP slush fund, which was so.
Hey, we got Divine and Rod in the building. What is good? The sponsor of the last stream. What is good, brother? Says, okay, guy is retarded and the personification of everything wrong with this country. What? Well, that is extreme. But I'm with Mansa here, and I think you nailed it. But don't worry, it gets better. Welcome to the party, Divine Rod. Glad you're here.
So fraudulently used, and now the IRS is backed up on audits in part because they're doing PPP fraud investigation. So I like that he didn't include that. I didn't think that was necessary. Inflation Reduction Act does a lot of interesting things, and whether or not it quote reduces inflation is coming down now several months in a row.
And why is that? Why is that? I mean, there's always some level of inflation, but it's particularly bad this time around. And I'm not sure why.
I love the renewable energy stuff that's in there. I drive an electric car. I've got the solar panels. I've got, my gas stove. I'm even going to get rid of. I'm ready to get rid of the gas stove. I'm being dead serious. No, yeah, I hadn't.
He's bought in. He's bought in. They haven't even moved off the Rona narrative. We know that the climate change narrative is next, and he's already bought in.
Fully committed.
It's not a commitment. It's the induction is unbelievable. Once you actually learn to use it, it's fantastic.
Cope.
I was repeating, the gas stove, you can modulate down to it's beautiful. I've now cooked with induction. It's fantastic. So I'm fully, I think it's fantastic. I think encouraging that, we're not banning gas stoves, of course. I'm exaggerating.
Hey, we got David Banner in the building. What is good? What is good, brother? Welcome to the party. He said because corporations are passing the buck onto plebs like us. Exactly. Yeah, he is the personification of virtue signaling. Love it.
I think that's really great. I think getting out of Afghanistan, I think was the absolute right decision.
It was the right decision, but was it done in the right way? Obviously not. Hey, we got per usual in the building. What is good? What is good? Says we're so worried about climate change and we have Teslas driving around. Those things are terrible. I mean, hey, I'll take a Tesla. If any of you got a Tesla that you're not trying to have anymore, send it my way. Because, my Chrysler 200, not 300, 200. It's not bad, but it's not great. Welcome to the party, brother.
Many criticisms of the chaos that unfolded. When Trump was asked, how would you have done it differently? He didn't actually have any answer. It was Trump's plan to get out that Biden did a few months later because Trump never got to it for whatever reason.
Cope.
I think that was the right decision. It was going nowhere, 20 years there, etc.
Yeah, but that was Trump's decision. To get out was Trump's decision. The way it was done was Biden's decision. And it doesn't need to, we don't need to have an exact, Trump wasn't the president anymore. Why would he have a detailed plan of how Biden is going to get out of Afghanistan? But somehow it's still his fault.
On student loan forgiveness, I don't know what's going to happen eventually. I'm not a forgive all student loans guy. Some of my audience are like, David, all loans should be forgiven. It's like, no, I don't think so. I don't think that makes sense. But we've had programs like if you're a doctor and you work in an underserved community long enough, you qualify to get those loans forgiven. I think certain programs like that make a lot of sense. So I think that that's a good thing. And quite frankly, and this is where, you know, the Trump people email me and they get very mad. If this, not my opinion, if we go
real quick, everybody, I put a let's do this. If you care, if you like this is at normal speed. I would like to push it up to 1.25, namely because there's a lot here and I want to get through all of it. But give me a yes or a no. Speed it up, yes or no.
By Gallup opinion survey, what other countries think of the U.S., opinion of the U.S. has dramatically improved since Biden replaced Trump. I think that matters. I'm not an isolationist, so I think it's important that other countries respect the office of the presidency. And under Trump, it was a joke, you know, literally laughed at the UN, goes to India, mispronounces 10 Indian names, and the crowd is just leaving.
Like we're moving now.
Humiliation everywhere he went. So I think that's it's like a soft thing that I think is really good.
So the fact that we're no longer feared is a good thing.
See, we're all the same type of people. That's why I love you motherfuckers. Oh, I'm not supposed to curse. That's why I love you guys.
I don't know where you're getting that we are no longer feared.
So you think people fear Biden?
What I'm asking you is what data do you have that we are no longer feared?
Well, that's not it. That's what data.
What data? Oh, and now we're coming back to data. There has to be data in order for you to determine how people feel about Biden just in general. This is the cop-out. This is the cope of every leftist, liberal, whatever. It's like, well, where's the data on that? Bro, just look at what's going on. We are literally in World War III.
Data is not any data to give. I mean,
during, how do you know it is?
Well, no, but during Biden is when Russia felt comfortable bullying Ukraine. During Biden is even if you look at Afghanistan on the way we left, people on the left were not happy by the way we left Afghanistan.
Which people?
Even 82 billion. I can give you a lot of different names.
Like who?
CIA.
Like who? Are you asking, David, because you don't know? Or are you asking because you know that Patrick Bet David is not going to have the random names of people who were left behind, you know, months ago off the top of his head? Good faith or bad faith? Hey, we got Alex Pincus in the building. What is good, brother? Glad to see you. Glad to see you. What is going on?
Who's the CIA guy that we had here who was on
Philip Mudd
with a Z? What's his name?
Exactly. This is their entire worldview. This is their entire worldview. Somebody else told me this, and the numbers are on a page, so it must be. Hey, we got Lee in the building. Lee was the one, if I'm not mistaken, who asked me on the last show about policy versus opinion, and that just came up. So welcome back. Welcome back. Oh, and we got Jess. Talk about it. What is good, girl? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Another awesome YouTuber. Welcome to the party. Let me grab that link. Oh, my God. This dog is over here dying. And just as a reminder...
Matt Zeller,
CIA agent who was on MSNBC. He called him out. He was on MSNBC with.
But that's one person, right?
No, but there's a lot of them though. If I actually pull it up and if I do the Google search on it, I'll find plenty of names from their own site.
Let's do it. That's fine. But I think one important thing to back up is you first kind of gave me what's not really a very fair question. You go, are you not worried that the U.S. is no longer feared?
So you're saying they don't fear you?
Hold on. Let me finish my response. Okay. You first present.
See, already we have a very different tone than when he was on Triggernometry. Similarly to the last show, where we expected, Ben Shapiro and Anna Kasparian to go at it. It seems like they really just wanted a conversation. But here, we're actually getting people to talk about the issues and not to get into a spat, not to be anything, not to be controversial, but because we actually care about these issues.
To me, and these are a lot of conversations go like this. You present to me, is it not a concern to me that the U.S. is no longer feared? And I said, well, where are you getting that? Where's the data? You go, there is no data. So let's first start with
what I said is
there's no scientific data. There's no studies that have been done on do people in general around the world look at America differently? Like, bro, just use your brain. Apparently, you don't have one.
It's not the fear. I didn't say there's no data. You can't pull data. Meaning you can't find data on fear.
Then how do you know that that's
fear is action? Fear is action. Did during Trump Russia attack Ukraine?
No, that's not yet.
What happened with Palestine and Israel?
We getting there. It's happening right now. Just starting up, girl.
What happened?
Yeah, what happened? They came
right on
together
time.
after 20-some years.
What?
What are you talking about?
What?
What are you talking about?
I have no idea. I do this for a living, but I have no idea what you're talking about. This is a business guy who knows way more than me. What are you talking about?
Hold on.
Well, he
a
moved the
second.
capital to Jerusalem, is what you're saying.
So let's.
I don't know
talk
if there's
about
been
that.
peace
Let's
in the
talk
Middle
about
East or anything like that.
that. Has there been any progress on peace?
Very limited.
How do you measure progress?
Did moving the it wasn't the capital. Did moving the embassy?
The embassy,
Hold on a
correct,
second. Let me ask the question. Did moving the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem get us closer to peace, or did it get us further away?
How is that a response to the original question of is America more feared under Trump or Biden? Hey, we got Anti-Gravity 74 in the building. What is good? What is good? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Completely agree. Says clearly the rest of the world isn't scared of the U.S. like they used to when we were under Trump. And again, I am not a Trump guy. I don't love Trump. I don't hate Trump, and I used to hate Trump. But I mean, it's just a reality. Like you don't have to have data and studies just to make a blanket statement like that. Now, you can certainly, because there is no scientific data, you can certainly argue against it and have points, but you have to present those points. Yeah, that's exactly. The drama is that he's trying to push his BS, the BS that he can push to his ignorant viewers, the views that he can push on the Triggernometry podcast, because they're not going to push back. Our boy Patrick Beck David is definitely, also a military guy, military, business, all that stuff. He is definitely going to push back, as we are seeing.
Do either of you guys know? I don't know if you've studied this issue.
There's arguments on both ends, but it has not led to peace and prosperity in Palestine, correct?
Did Trump promise this? This very critical, clear question.
And already, hold on. Already, we are 14 minutes into the actual video. That's how long it took him to bring up Trump.
Did Trump promise that Jared Kushner would solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict during the first term? Now, that's just a yes, no. Did he promise it?
I don't know if he promised it or promises made, promises kept. He was assigned to that duty.
And
okay, so Trump is the worst person in the world because as a politician, he made a promise, and that promise didn't come true. Got it.
Did it happen?
Did what happen?
Did Jared negotiate
No,
peace?
but I don't think anybody believed that peace was happening in
so
the Middle
it's
East.
okay for him to make promises that are obvious lies?
But make the argument. Go back to the argument about the fact that America on all polls.
Just what exactly is the difference here? What is the difference between being afraid of Trump and being afraid of the fallout of Trump's erratic behavior? What is the meaningful difference between those two things in the context of geopolitics?
Today is, would you say liked? What was the word you used?
So I think the really important thing when we talk about this is we talk about what we can measure. So the Gallup polling that has been done.
So you trust polls?
Oh, come on.
So but that's where we're going, though.
There are lots of different...
I trust certain polls too, but I'm saying, so you trust...
Notice, again, this is something that I'll bring up in my own personal conversations as well as the ones that we talk about. Those who cannot answer questions are not in good faith. So you believe he brought up polls, and so PBD just said, "Oh, so you believe in polls? Oh, come on! What? Oh, come on, bro! You just said that. What?
Polls.
If you say, "Do I trust a Rasmussen Republican primary poll 18 months before an election?" I would say that's not very valuable. I don't think that's valuable. The Gallup Public Opinion Sentiment poll that has been done over many, many presidents in the same way, I think that's a pretty good poll just to give a sense of how the world feels about the American president. I have no reason to distrust that.
I'm pretty sure, now I could be completely wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure both of those polls had Hillary Clinton winning the 2016 election by a long shot. By a long shot. And again, I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure.
There are other polls where I would have a specific reason to distrust. But we're kind of going like 10 tangents here. I think if we want...
No, we're not. We're just, not sticking on your narrative.
I'm going to talk about, am I upset that the U.S. isn't feared? Since you brought that question forward, the appropriate thing would be for you to give me the data.
But no, go back to what you said. You said U.S. is what? You said you like the fact that U.S. is liked more today under Biden?
No, I didn't use that term.
What was it?
So let's go back to Jess. So Jess said they aren't afraid of Trump. We're talking about geopolitics and what's going to happen in terms of is Putin going to invade Ukraine? So you gave the example. You're not afraid of your son but you're afraid of your son's driving because he can't drive. Okay. So the fallout would be that he either is going to hurt himself, other people, and at least the car or something like that. So what is if this is your analogy and Trump is your son in this situation, then we're talking about him driving the car that is America and really the world. There you go. There's no difference between Putin being afraid of Trump being able to beat him up versus Putin being afraid of what Trump is going to do or what is going to happen because of Trump. Those are just the same things. Hey, we got Trey in the building. What is good? What is good? Welcome, brother. So I don't think they are afraid of us in general, no matter who the president is. Well, then again, the question stands, why did they wait until Trump was out of office to invade Ukraine? Integrator said if the U.S. Just removes support to Israel, they'd sign a peace deal with Palestine in 5 years out of necessity. We are the reason there's no peace in that region. Interesting. Again, that's, that type of stuff. I do not know enough about that kind of stuff, but I'll take your word for it.
Term you use, if you don't mind saying it again.
On average, countries respect the U.S. more now that Biden is president.
And you value that.
I think it's important because can I tell you why?
Sure.
I think it's important because between
listen how scared he is. Can I tell you why, please?
Trade and globalization and problems we deal with that don't respect the borders of countries, it's important to be, again, it's not about liked, it's not about, it's to be respected globally. I do think that actually matters.
So why do you think they didn't like or respect Trump? Let's see what you're going to say with that. Why do you think? Tell me.
The guy's a joke.
He is.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us why. And Biden's not a joke.
Well,
You're right.
There we go. And tell us why. It's so easy. Oh, well, he's a joke. He's a joke. Nobody takes him seriously, except for, 80 million people.
We can talk about Biden.
Oh, because Biden's like the goat and Trump's the joke.
No.
Okay, so I'm critical tell us why he's a joke.
But I think it's important to say, are we talking about Trump or are we talking about Biden?
No.
We can talk about both,
identify
let's
both.
Talk about them one at a time.
Stay on Trump.
Okay,
stay on Trump
fair.
when he says he's a joke. Tell us why you think he's a joke.
Promises made that were not kept that he told us he was going to achieve for us. Let's look at some of them. I'm going to get rid of Obamacare and replace it with, his word, a beautiful replacement where everyone will have care and it's going to be affordable.
Do you guys remember a short that I put out from, or if you had watched when Destiny was on the Triggernometry podcast, and we were talking, I was talking about there's two different camps of people when it comes to their opinion on Trump. There are people who will, no matter what, take the worst, the absolute worst interpretation of anything that he says. And then there's other people who can be like, okay, it was in the context of him saying that he would arrest people who would burn the flag. And there's other people who would say, okay, I mean, I guess he's not really saying he's going to arrest people, but he's just expressing the sentiment that, hey, this is a really bad thing that we don't like. And some people understand that, and some people do not have the ability to discern. And yes, exactly, Jess. Every president lies to us and breaks their promises. So using that, I mean, that's certainly a bad thing for Trump to do, but was Biden any better? Was Obama any better? Was Bush any better? Were any of them any better? Of course not. But it's somehow there's this special pleading case that it's okay to talk about the lies that Trump made because he was so much worse. How is that the case?
Okay. Just flat out didn't happen. The one proposal that Republicans made would have led to 24 to 32 million people losing healthcare. I consider that a failure. I don't think Obamacare is perfect, but it's better than the thing Trump said he was going to bring us.
How do you know if he didn't bring it to us? How do you know that what we have is better than what we don't have? What? That's not how logic works, buddy.
That was just a failure. 2, build a wall across the entire U.S.-Mexico border, which Mexico is going to pay for. It's not even worth having a conversation. I mean, just a joke. Of course, completely didn't happen.
Yeah.
Solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. No progress made. In fact, to be honest, and this is, if we want to delve into that, moving the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem got us further from that because it's seen as a sort of a taunting measure if you understand the internal politics of what's going on there.
If you understand things as well as I do, because I, David Pakman, understand everything about everything.
Was going to, made some space travel promises. I mean, I can't think of promises he made that he did keep other than, I guess he was going to do tax reform and he did tax reform. So as a policy matter,
that's a pretty big deal, dude.
complete and total failure. I do think maybe the First Step Act on criminal justice reform did some good things. I'm sort of glad to give him credit on that. But so, on policy, failure. And then, on rhetoric, we could spend 3 hours just looking at quotes.
So I'm curious to see exactly how you think now. So
Yeah.
If COVID doesn't happen, does he get reelected?
Yes.
Why?
Well, because his followers don't care about policy. I interview them all the time, and I say,
his followers don't care about policy.
They don't care about achievements. They care about Hillary bad, Hillary Marxist, Hillary socialist.
You think Hillary?
Oh, unlike the people who have TDS, who there literally is a saying, "Orange man bad," because of people like you, David. The projection is unreal. It's unreal with these progressives and leftists. Yeah, right. You can keep your health plan. It's just going to be triple the cost. Monson says, almost sounds like Neil deGrasse Tyson when he was on PBD podcast. That's a great call, because much like a lot of people who I used to really have a lot of respect for, this scientism is really taking over. And I think, the Rona stuff really, really, really exacerbated things, because even Scott Adams, the Dilbert guy, a couple weeks ago, he came out and he was like, look, we were wrong. The anti-jab people were right. This thing is not what it was sold to be. And they were right to be skeptical. But now he's trying to say, even though that's the case, we weren't wrong to think that what we were. You guys just got lucky. Like, no, we were just actually paying attention to stuff. And it's pathetic. It's pathetic. And yeah, you have Sam Harris. I used to have so much respect for him. Neil deGrasse Tyson used to have so much respect for him. For a very short time, I did have a little bit of respect for David Pakman. But PBD is very good at exposing the frauds. Trey says they waited because, if I'm not mistaken, Trump was the only one stopping Ukraine from being part of the UN, which is what Russia is really mad about, because Biden was pushing to let them in. Yep. Bingo.
He's good.
Did I say that?
I'm asking you.
Oh, no, I don't think Hillary was a good candidate, and she's to my right. No, I don't think Hillary's good, but I thought she was better than Trump.
She's to your right.
She's to my right. Yeah, Hillary is a very
moderate conservative Democrat in your world.
Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, give me a left-wing Hillary policy, like a really left-wing Hillary policy.
I would agree there are not.
There is none.
But it's not the point. But you're saying you would much rather have a Hillary than a Trump.
I would rather.
Okay, so go back to
much rather. I don't know.
So go back to he gets reelected. Why? Because his voters could care less about policies. That's what you're saying. Fine, no problem. So, but we both know that it's not the right that elects him, and it's not the left that elects whoever on the left. It's whoever's in the middle, the 8 to 12% that kind of says, you know what, I'm going to go this side, this time around, or versus more people come out for, their candidate, meaning a lot of people would come out for Obama. Okay, so explain yourself.
What it actually more depends on is who chooses to go out and vote. It's less about, there's often this idea in politics, and there's lots of people who are really good on this issue that you could talk to, Rachel Bidikofer, and even Frank Luntz, even though he's partisan, I think he would concede this as well. He's
a pollster, you mean?
Yes.
Frank Luntz, yeah.
The idea of the swing into...
I think generally he's right here, but only in a post-Trump world. So the only reason he's right, as I'm just talking about what Scott Adams was doing, the only reason he's right is because so many people who never voted came out for Trump. But that's not typically how elections go. Typically, the people who don't vote. So you might get a small portion of people who otherwise wouldn't vote, but will vote for this person, that person. Like with Obama, a lot of people voted for him just because he was black. With Hillary, a lot of people voted for her just because she was a woman. These are people who were already in the political sphere. A lot of the new Trump voters that he's talking about and about to opine on that's a new phenomenon. So for him to act like this is how politics and elections have always worked, it's just not true. Hey, we got Indie Film in the building. What is good? What is good? Welcome to the party, brothers. Says left-wing Hillary policy, free healthcare. There you go. There you go. David said the best government in the world be a government headed by corporate CEOs and hedge fund commanders. Okay.
Independent voter that sometimes on presidential elections will vote for a Republican and sometimes a Democrat. Very, very small percentage of people. More
in comparison to those who voted in, the group of people that I was just talking about. Now it is, but that's not how it always was. And he's trying to make it seem that way.
More common is that a candidate either activates people to vote or those same people just stay home. In the US, we have an embarrassingly low voter turnout. It's between usually 52 and 60%, I think. So almost half the electorate isn't even voting. It's less about people who vote one way and then another way. It's more about people who say, I'm just going to stay home versus I'm going to go out and vote. If they vote, it's clear.
So you're saying that the middle voter doesn't matter at all?
No, I didn't say that.
So what are you saying?
I said they matter much less than who is partisan chooses to vote.
But it's fair to say that, okay, if he continues, and there's no COVID, he would get reelected. Do you think let's specifically target the middle? Forget the people on the side that would show up. Okay?
Well, but why?
That's the question I want to do with you right now. So if we specifically,
again, he's already, because he doesn't like the question, he doesn't know what the point is, but he wants to win the argument. So instead of just listening to the question and answering it, he's like, well, why are we talking about that? Lee says, Scott is a complex guy. And I think speak for yourself, are strawmanning his position. Unless you spend a month listening to Coffee with Scott Adams, you won't understand where he is coming from. So I don't listen to Scott Adams at all. Who I do listen to, who I trust very much on a number of different issues is Dave Smith. He's a comic, but he is very active in the Libertarian Party, and he just put out a podcast specifically talking about how that Scott Adams was doing that, and Scott Adams said himself that even after coming out and saying the anti-jabbers were right, that he was making all these arguments about, well, how do you know this? How do you know that? And Scott Adams himself said, there you go, king of the cocks, right? He specifically said, oh, I'm trying to troll you guys, and you didn't fall for it. I didn't see the actual thing, but you could pull it up and you could see, and definitely if you listen to what Dave Smith says, it's not, unless Dave Smith is straight up lying about what Scott said on Twitter, then you might be right, but I'm going by Scott's own words. Oh no. Well, I mean, you guys know I have a special dark place in my heart for that woman who taught me the value of paying attention. I still say the most shameful thing I ever did in my entire life was vote for her. Despite being a drug addict for years, despite stealing shit from my parents to pay for drugs, this was worse.
Focus on the middle. With the middle, the independent, the libertarians, would they have chosen to stick with Trump, or would most have wanted to replace him with somebody else?
It's a polling question. I don't have the data.
Well, you're the poll guy, so I'm asking you.
I don't have the data.
Okay, I'd be curious to know. So I don't have the data. But you're also correcting me to say that's not true. That's the middle and the independents that didn't elect him.
Where's the data on that, David?
Saying it's who showed up that elected him.
As a general concept,
right.
Elections swing less based on independents who sometimes vote Republican and Democrat. That's a small factor. A bigger factor is, are voters activated by their candidate, or are they deactivated where they go, I don't like this person, but I'm definitely not voting for that one. I'll stay home.
So isn't it a bit of both, though?
It's a bit of both.
Because
when people say I am trying to troll you, I'm going to believe that they are trying to troll me.
Also, what happened in the Rust Belt, we've seen countless stories about, I voted for Obama. I'm not racist. I voted for Obama. What are you talking about? I voted for Bush, then I voted for Obama, and then Trump showed up. He made some promises. He was in the Midwest. He was out there. He was reaching out, touching hands. Hillary was too busy in New Mexico and Arizona. I decided to vote for Trump, and I was sort of done with Trump. Now I'm back on Biden. Yeah, we see so many stories like that. These independents.
That's an anecdote, and so I think anecdotes are fine. But one of the things that is important is to zoom out from anecdotes and to look at the broader data. And the other thing that's important is a lot of that cross voting, it cancels each other out because you see roughly the same amount from one side versus the other. And what I mean by that is there was, if you look at the crossover in 2016, the number of Democrats who decided to vote Trump in 2016 was very similar to the number of Democrats who decided to vote McCain in 2008. So it's a roughly predictable number.
You're talking about Democrats who have switched over. Just there's legitimate independents.
I'm giving you just one example of this, people who go either way or whatever. It's relatively stable and predictable. So it's rarely a difference maker. That's my only point. And we can anecdotes all day. You know, Jim Bob's wife decided to vote Hillary or what. That's totally fine.
But let's do data because you're a data guy.
Yeah,
so if
exactly. That's just exactly what I was about to say. He's speaking out of both sides of his mouth. He's saying you don't have the data to make the claim that you're making, but I'm making a claim and I don't need data.
What? Tell us when you're saying it's not necessarily that the middle would have had Trump, would he have needed the middle to get reelected in 2024, in 2020?
He would have needed roughly the same percentage that Republicans tend to need. Trump suffered because on the COVID thing, would he have gotten reelected? It's not only if COVID didn't happen, Trump probably would have gotten reelected. I think if when COVID started, instead of Trump saying, we have 15 cases, soon going to be 0, do flu vaccines work on COVID? What about bleach injections? All that stuff. If instead of that,
both. He is both stupid and a liar.
Trump said, hey, you know what? We're the United States. We're going to...
Actually, I'm going to take that back. He is not stupid. He knows exactly what he's doing. So he's a liar guy.
Deal with this better than anybody else. We're making MAGA masks. And by the way, 50 cents on every dollar will...
This is actually a good... I agree with him here. Back this up a sec. And this would have been a better way to address things. But of course, hindsight is 2020. And we really didn't know what Rona was in the beginning. You know, obviously, eventually we did. But this would be a good idea.
Injections, all that stuff. If instead of that, Trump said, hey, you know what? We're the United States. We're going to deal with this better than anybody else. We're making MAGA masks. And by the way, 50 cents on every dollar will go, you know, his normal fundraising scams, right? Do the scams, but do the MAGA masks. And if he said, we're going to be absolutely the best on this thing, he wins. We saw it in New Zealand. We saw it in other places. It was a missed opportunity. Now, I think it was just a miscalculation in the sense that somewhere Trump probably thought it was really going to go away. I don't know who was around him. I don't know by Easter of 2020, right? I mean,
I wonder why. It's maybe, I don't know. There was this guy who was like, 14 days to slow the spread. You can't get the transmission. I wonder why people thought things that weren't true about this this thing. It's totally Trump's fault. The only thing that's Trump's fault is not firing Fauci immediately.
Okay, so I think Trump, even if he had just done that, and because we saw,
why would he have? Why would the independents, the ones in the middle, who are let's just say slightly more reasonable, and they're willing to say, you know, I don't like this guy on the left, I'm going to vote right. I don't like this guy on the right, I'm going to vote left.
Yeah.
Why would they have still chosen Trump over Biden?
I have no idea. You'd have to talk to them.
Well,
I just don't know.
But you're given your arguments, and so your arguments you're given is you're talking about polls like Biden because America's more respected under Biden than Trump. Okay, so
that has nothing to do with American voters. We're talking about people in other countries.
I totally get it. But when you say something like that, the voter says, "Oh wow, the world respects Biden more than they respect Trump."
Sure.
Okay. Somebody may say, well, maybe because, you know, anybody who was an enemy of America hated Trump because Trump would, you know, deal more directly with them than Biden would. Biden, you can't necessarily see him. You know, he doesn't look like a leader. He's not an Obama-esque. He's not a Clinton guy.
He campaigned from the basement. Remember the Atlantic article? Please, I don't remember the exact thing, but they're saying we just need your corporeal form to make it to election day. Exactly what Mansa said. People voted against Trump. They didn't vote for Biden. That's what I did in 2016, why I ended up doing the most shameful thing I've ever done. And that is why I didn't vote in 2020, because I didn't like either of them.
Biden doesn't come across as a strong leader, but you're saying he's more respected than Trump. Great, no problem.
Okay.
So then I go and I ask you a question and I say, if COVID doesn't happen, does he get reelected? Yes. Why? You say because more people show up. This whole narrative about the fact that you need the middle voter to tip them, that's not true. It's how many people show up, and it's his people because his people don't care if he gets anything done. And that's what you said.
So what he just did right there is called steel manning. We talk about it all the time, but unfortunately, we rarely see it. He's sitting there listening, letting him say his points, not just letting him, without any pushback, but letting him get it out. And then before he goes on to make his own points, Patrick Bet David here, he wants to recount everything that David's saying, so that everybody is on the same page, so that he can't say, no, you're misrepresenting me. Listen to it again. And he just rattled it off. And because David just said these things, it's not something that he can deny.
You say because more people show up, this whole narrative about the fact that you need the middle voter to tip them, that's not true. It's how many people show up, and it's his people because his people don't care if he gets anything done. And that's what you said. That was your narrative, right? Yeah, that's what you said. Those were your words.
Some of those words mirror the things that I said. Yes.
Okay.
So yes is what you mean.
Okay. So it activates, which means so Trump's voters. So give me. When you say I speak to a lot of these Trump voters, there's obviously a lot of animosity in you. You have a lot of resentment or animosity towards them. I don't know why, but you seem angry and upset towards Trump. I mean, your comments like, towards Trump is boom, voters are this, voters are that.
Well, I think
what
the problem may be with that. I have to interrupt.
Let him talk, bro. It's not your show.
But I get that. So and you can answer all those questions and I'll give you your time.
I'm not remembering all of them, but I'll try to write them down.
What is the DNA of a typical MAGA voter in your eyes?
There's not any typical DNA. I think there's basically 3 primary categories of people that vote for Republicans, and Trump introduced a 4th.
Okay, so before Trump, we had 3 categories. According to David, there was only 3 categories of voters, and Trump brought on an entire new kind of voter. And somehow that must obviously affect how Biden was elected, right? Because if things were different, like they were before Trump, then probably it would work a different way, right? That's the logical conclusion. Let's see.
Fair to introduce these 4 categories?
Break it down for us. For us that, we don't have your intelligence.
Well, it's not about intelligence. And I don't know if you're being sarcastic. It's not about intelligence.
No,
it's about have you researched.
This is your world. Okay, so this is your world. So tell us what you think about the 3 and the 4th.
The defensiveness. So Amon says, I prefer when the government is in gridlock and can't get anything done. That is less impact they have on our lives. It's hard to disagree with that. I would love the idealistic version of an actual good government doing, the minimum. They're supposed to be doing the minimum, and they're doing that minimum very well. But since that is, a pie in the sky ideal, I am with you. Byron said, are you telling me? Yeah.
With your intelligence, imagine what you could do if you looked up the things I look up. That's
the audacity. Did he really just say that? Really?
About the 3 and the 4th.
With your intelligence, imagine what you could do if you looked up the things I look up. That's really the incredible. Okay, no. So in all seriousness, 4 basic groups.
Oh, in all seriousness. Yeah, that was just a joke. Was it though?
Pre-Trump, you had 3 groups. You had sort of pro-business, low-tax right-wingers, people like Mitt Romney, basically. Okay. They are, I mean, Romney maybe isn't a little bit of an exception because as a Mormon, he has some socially conservative views, but you've got like your Romney type who's concerned with let's not overregulate businesses, let's not have taxes that are too high, let's create a good business environment. As governor of Massachusetts, that was sort of his idea, and that's a very blue state, and he did well. So you've got like your Romney type.
Traditional, low-tax, limited government.
Type 1.
Not extreme
millionaire,
not extreme right on social issues
type people,
not particularly homophobic, for example, or okay. Then you've got your more libertarian mind.
Not particularly homophobic, but still homophobic nonetheless.
People. I found it interesting when you said you're independent and libertarians. In the U.S., libertarians are mostly right wing and they mostly vote for Republicans. So then you've got your very libertarian minded people.
Okay, and that usually is true. But why is that true? If it's a completely different party with a completely different platform, then it doesn't really make sense that they would always be in line with one party, unless the two ideologies kind of have a lot in common that are missed by the Democratic Party. But I don't have the data, so I'm just guessing.
Whose focus is that we want just as much freedom to do as much stuff as possible. It often includes freedom to discriminate if I don't want to do, like a gay wedding cake. That you got that group. You then have
yes, the freedom to do business as you decide and not have the government force you to do things that are against your religious beliefs. Horrible.
Evangelical and religious voters whose primary things are less economic.
So what was your second one? Second one is
libertarian.
Libertarian. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Third, you've got your evangelical religious
Mike Pence
voters.
vote.
More than Mike Pence vote.
Wait. So the second type of Republican voter is a libertarian? Then they're not a Republican. They're a libertarian. That's what those words mean.
And gay marriage, and more recently, trans stuff. That's really the most important.
This is on point, Monza.
They'll go.
This is more on point than I just read it and said it was on point, and then I read it again and thought it was more on point. 100%. The conservatives of the left wing. I mean, well, not of the left wing, but the conservatives of the liberal side of the. Yeah, I mean, yeah. You're right.
Go with the economic stuff, even though it's actually often not good for them. And you started to see this under Reagan a lot, where these religious voters, they went with Reagan, even though economically it wasn't the best thing for them. Those are typically the 3 groups.
It wasn't the best for them. They don't know that it wasn't good for them. They just are so dumb that they cast a vote for the president of the United States, the leader of the free world, and they didn't even know. They're so dumb. If only they knew what I knew.
You hear the comments from they're voting against their interests because they have social ideology that they gravitate towards.
So you've got those three groups. Trump had all of that. The early Ted Cruz support in 2016 is that third group, that evangelical. That eventually went to Trump. Trump coalesced these groups because they really weren't going to vote for Hillary. The fourth group, which Trump kind of created, is people who were not at all engaged with politics before. They didn't pay attention. They knew Trump as a celebrity. They didn't really have a political identity. They were disaffected. They weren't really participating before.
So 4 is his personality, is what you're saying?
Yeah,
or?
yeah. They got brought in specifically.
He introduced that. That's been around for a while, though.
He introduced what?
You're saying Trump introduced the 4th. You said typically it's 3.
Oh, yeah.
But Trump introduced the 4th, or Trump has the 4th?
Trump
activated
activated this fourth group, which
he said before Trump, there was 3 types of Republican voters, and then Trump brought in a 4th. Now that doesn't make sense, it makes sense in his mind because he never actually said it to anybody who would actually question him about it. Now that he said it out loud, he's like, wait a minute. I was just talking about Ronald Reagan. Wasn't Ronald Reagan like a movie star Hollywood guy? Well, I said he activated the 4th. No, you said he invented the 4th, or I maybe didn't use the word invented, but he started the 4th. That's what you said.
Which was people who were not in any of those 3 categories I mentioned and got engaged in politics for the first time because they heard Trump say something that they liked. Give some
examples of those type of. Are you talking about West Virginia coal miners or people in the deep red South?
They were from all over, but it was people who liked that Trump was going to fix trade with China. A lot of them didn't really know what that meant, but it sounded pretty good. Maybe the person had lost a job.
A lot of them didn't know what that meant. Why do you assume that they didn't know what that meant? What evidence, what data do you have to make that claim? Oh, none.
Job, they came to believe it's because of China that I lost my job. That sounds good. Or people who are on immigration, they're like the wall. Of course, you and I know you're never building a wall. Never mind, Mexico's going to pay for it. But there were people who like the idea, never were in politics, like, no, it sounds good. I'm voting for Trump. So he brought in this fourth group.
Again, this is not new. We were just talking about how every politician lies and every politician makes promises campaigning that do not come true. But this is the fourth group. Trump revolutionized America in the worst possible way by introducing this way of politics where you actually say a thing, but you don't mean it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the fourth group, to be exact, it's his personality that people were turned on by the way he was.
Could be personality, but it could be that there was one thing he said that they really liked.
So let me ask you.
Wait, who agrees with this? Who agrees with the average Trump voter is being actually? Yeah, you're right. Again, you're right. But he's smart, but he's still an asshole.
Question: is there something wrong with that? I'm curious. Are you going to a place where there's something wrong with that, or
no? It's not about right or wrong.
Yeah.
It's a question of whether any of us think that the policy motivations for any of those groups align with ours.
Somebody may say there's a lot of people that showed up for Obama just because he was black.
Sure, they can say that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
But
is that true?
I don't know. Is that true? Like, literally, people were talking about how they're not into politics, but I just voted for Obama because he's black and we won the first black president. Same thing with Hillary. I'm not really into politics, but I voted for Hillary because I want to see the first woman president. Like, these things that you're spitting out make no sense. And it makes sense that you don't know that doesn't make sense because you are stuck in your echo chamber.
You don't think it's true?
Of course, in a country of 330 million people.
Yeah. No, you're right, man. So you're right.
There are going to be some.
No, but you said you don't know if it's true. It's like, what do you mean you don't know if it's true? I don't have
any.
You don't have any data. You want to get data to say people showed up that they just because they're black.
There's exit polling on most of these issues. We might be able to find it right now.
No, it's you know.
I think it's fair to say people voted for him. Because he was
I cannot even tell you how many people. I knew Republicans who were voting for Obama in the insurance industry just because, like, listen, man, first time this guy talks like MLK. You know, he sounds reasonable. I'm going to vote for the guy. There's a lot of people that came out with him. So somebody may say, well, you know, the reason why Obama got elected because he's got the 3 difficult things when he talks to the Democrat, but the 4th thing is he was black.
Okay.
And are you going to say what?
I would say, yeah, I'm sure that there's a good portion of people who vote based
on that. So you're saying that.
Hey, we got Tyler in the building. What is good, brother? What is good? It wasn't Pac-Man the one who was arguing with Destiny to get Rittenhouse in prison. Probably. I mean, maybe a week. I was subscribed to David Pakman Show, and then I realized who he was and what he stands for and how he operates, and I just unsubscribed, and I don't pay attention to him at all. I had just seen him on the Triggernometry podcast, and then I saw him on this. But, it was even after the court's decision. Like, geez, man. Like, I hope that comes up. I hope that comes up because it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And wow, when when you're more pathetic than the Young Turks, like, oh my goodness, that's hard to do. That is hard to do.
The DNA of a Trump MAGA
Welcome
voter
to the party, brother.
who looks past policies. So you're saying on the 3 policies, he didn't check off the 3 policies here, the 3 points. You're saying that.
Let's back that up. What is he talking about?
Say what?
I would say, yeah, I'm sure that there's a portion of people who vote based on that.
So you're
So that was the question. You were saying, a bunch of people voted for Obama because he was black, and then David said, yeah, I think that's true.
saying the DNA of a Trump MAGA voter who looks past policies. So you're saying on the 3 policies, he didn't check off the 3 policies here, the 3 points. You're saying that.
I'm saying he didn't build the wall, or I'm not.
No, so let me take a step back with you.
Please.
So I'm asking you a question, and I said, so tell me if you're saying he's going to get reelected without COVID. You're saying he would have gotten reelected.
I think he would have.
Perfect. And then you said your words. You said something in the context of, because I think the MAGA voter is not about policies. That's what you said.
A lot of that 4th group, yes, is not about overarching accomplishments, or like I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about, and maybe it'll help to distill it.
I think what, any film is absolutely right here. The average Trump voter is more informed and more aware of the real world than this guy and many leftists in general. Not to say that there are people on the left who don't know what's going on. Of course there are. But the problem is that in their mind, they, meaning people like David Pakman, the leftist elitists, they think that reading data and reading studies and reading articles written by people who are writing an article based on a tweet, based on a, complete nothing, an anonymous source close to the source who said to the source, like that type of stuff. They believe that that is information and that is what gets you informed instead of actually talking to people, understanding what is going on, understanding why people are arguing about things. Instead of just assuming that you're right and then just lumping everybody who disagrees with you in the bucket of the basket of deplorables, that's what he means. So thank you, Anyfilm, for that 100% right. Hey, we got Ian Undercover in the building. Welcome to the party. Glad you are here. That is not surprising at all that Destiny smashed him because that. Perfect example. You guys know, who you've been here for a while, that I really do have a lot of respect for Destiny. I think that even though I disagree with a lot of his policy positions, unlike David Pakman, he is an honest interlocutor. He is somebody who genuinely will come to a debate to present his ideas because it seems to me, at least, that he's confident in those ideas. He has researched those ideas, both in the data and statistics way, as well as the real world version. Unlike David Pakman, who just reads stuff, spits it out, have people who are dumber than him agree with him because they don't know any better and listen to anything else, and then he thinks he knows everything about the world. You think about that, and then you think about how many people actually do listen to him and actually do see him as a good source of information and a good source of a good faith discussion. And it's really sad. It's really sad. But welcome to the party, Ian. Glad you are here. This is the whole progressive agenda is an elitist agenda, and they know what is best for everyone. Well, they think they do. Exactly.
I got a call at some point during the first term of Trump from a guy who said, I'm voting for this guy. This guy's just the best. And I said, oh, okay. What do you care about? How are you evaluating his performance to decide if you're going to vote for him in 2020? Like, I'm curious. How do you decide? He said, well,
this is data or this is anecdotal?
I care about the wall. So he's got to build that wall. And I said, perfect. If he doesn't build the wall.
Perfect, because it goes into my argument.
Are you still going to vote for him? And he says, well, yeah, I'm not going to vote for a Democrat. So I said, oh, so it doesn't actually matter if he builds the wall.
Same with
that's. So let's do this. Why are you going to Pizza Hut? Well, because I love the stuffed crust. Okay, so if they don't have the stuffed crust, are you not going to eat pizza? Well, no, I'm still going to eat pizza. Ha! Gotcha! What are you saying, dude?
you as well, though. There's no way you're voting for a Republican either. Would you vote for a Republican?
Sure. Yeah.
Who?
Stop the cap.
I mean, if I
have you ever voted for a Republican president?
No, I mean, I've only voted in a few elections.
Yeah,
but hold on a second.
But you're 4 years old. You're 1984, so it's
I'm 38. Please.
84, 38 years old. 38 is still, you've had plenty of elections.
Let's back up for a second. there's two questions. Would I and have I? I've only voted in a few presidential elections.
You've had plenty of chances.
Well, but who would I voted for? I was going to vote for George W. Bush in 2004.
That's the point, bro. There's been very many different iterations of Republican candidates in your time since you were 18. And that's fine. If you're not a Republican, I've never voted for a Republican either. But that doesn't, like, for you to say that, oh, yeah, I'd vote for a Republican. No, the F you would not. You are straight up lying.
No.
But it doesn't matter. The point is, when you're calling that guy out, you're the same as that guy.
No, I'm not.
Okay, so tell me a Republican you'd vote for.
I think you're missing the picture.
Oh, he's missing the picture. Oh my goodness. The native tongue of any leftist is projection, semantic obfuscation, and BS.
What is it then?
The point is, he made a claim that he was going to make a vote depending on policy. And when I then said, so if the policy fails, you'll vote for someone else. And he said, no, actually the policy doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. That's the difference. I'm not making that claim.
Yeah.
So again, maybe that is the top reason that he was voting for Trump. But that doesn't mean that just because that one aspect doesn't come true, that automatically now he's going to vote for Democrats. Is that a hard concept? Maybe he's not as smart as we thought.
Okay, it's a completely different thing.
I mean, the same can be said. To take one example of a story of a person who sounds like an idiot, to say that and then categorize everybody in Trump is selective hearing. To say
that's not what I'm doing.
That's selective for you. Well, you are kind of doing that. You're saying here's a Republican voter who you ask, why are you thinking about voting for Trump? Oh, because he's building the wall. Then you said, if he doesn't build the wall, well, I would never vote for a Democrat. Well, do you care if the wall never gets built? No, I don't care. I'm going to vote for him anyways. Well, that doesn't sound like a reasonable voter to me, though.
That's right. He's not a reasonable voter.
Well, the reasonable voters to me was also if.
So then why are we talking about him? Why are we talking about him? Unless, David, you are saying that anybody who votes for Trump is an unreasonable voter. No. I'm not saying that either. So then what is it that you are saying?
If you were to ask the average person who voted for Biden,
sure,
they didn't vote for Biden.
Okay.
They voted against Trump.
Okay.
Do you disagree?
I'd have to look at exit polls. Is that true?
So
you would have to look at exit polls to know that most people did not vote for Biden in the affirmative. I've been trying to come up with a word like an adjective to describe these type of people who can only see the world through numbers on a page. Whether it's polls, whether it's articles, whether it's studies. And I'm not saying at all that we shouldn't look at scientific studies or articles or anything like that. But I'm saying if that's your only way to understand the world, you do not have an understanding of the world.
Is that where you go to?
Something like
that.
For
a guy who, if this is your space,
yeah.
What's your podcast about?
What is it about?
What's your show about?
News and politics.
You should know this stuff. You're the expert. I
just don't remember that offhand.
How do you find it right now? But this is your world. Like if you ask me questions on business, I'm going to say, let me give you my feedback on what I think about business.
Yeah.
You invite me on your podcast, and hey, Pat, I want to talk about business.
Let's do that.
I have no problem with it to do that part. But what I'm saying to you is, if you're coming here, saying what you're saying,
sure,
and then I ask you a simple question of, so the same thing can be said about people that voted for Biden. Yeah, I'm going to vote for anybody. Dude, nobody would show up when Biden would speak. Did you not see his tour when he was going campaigning?
Patrick, you're not really doing this, are you?
Tell me.
One word cannot come out of his mouth that is not just dripping in sarcasm, elitism, condescension, whatever. And he says the average Biden voter. Unfortunately, we can't interview most of them. They don't exist.
You're doing this?
I'm actually curious where you're going to go now.
Biden wasn't even doing events. This is the Biden one.
Correct. He was not doing events. He was campaigning from the basement. But he did actually do events. So why don't we do this? Why don't we look at Biden rally? Turn E on rally. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Open image new tab. There's like so many people here. Like, oh my God. Like, I'm amazed. I'm amazed. What are you talking about, bro? What are you talking about?
Basement thing. Yeah. I have a counter to this entire, and I want to just be really clear. I don't really care about defending Biden in any particular sense. I just think he was the better option than Trump. I feel like I'm being framed as this Biden lover who's going to defend everything.
I'm not doing that. You may be thinking I'm not doing that to you.
Getting defensive once again.
I'm asking,
what I want to say about this is,
can you pull up Biden's rallies when he was running for president? Go ahead. Let's see the pictures. But go ahead.
Biden didn't do a campaign.
Right. That is the point. So without a campaign and without rallies, somehow your conclusion is that against the guy who did rallies, did campaign, and invigorated an entire new voting bloc, did better or what?
The way Trump did it. And the funniest thing to me,
neither has anybody done it like the way Biden's done it. He hid.
But hold it, guys.
This was during COVID, though.
Yes. Let's back up for a second.
Look how beautiful that is.
Well,
these are
because
COVID
it's
rallies.
COVID.
Patrick,
gotta be
can I
kidding
tell
me,
you
Dan.
something? This is really the.
You're
the
telling
height of
me
COVID.
you're okay,
you seem silly when you do this.
Here's what I'm willing to do. Here's what I'm willing to do.
Please.
I'm willing to give him $1 million of my own money right now to go try to fill up an arena.
For what?
Oh no.
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? Oh man.
Yeah.
$1 million. But here's what I'm willing to do. Here's what I'm willing to do.
Please.
Pay attention.
I'm willing to give him $1 million of my own money right now to go try to fill up an arena.
For what?
Oh no.
To show that nobody is inspired by this guy.
This is so silly.
No, but
It's so silly. All right, then do it.
What's silly is for you to assume people voted for Biden. They voted against Trump, is what they did.
Many did, yeah, sure.
Yeah, but you just said.
I said I don't know what the percentages.
But
all I'm saying is I don't know
it's
the
your world, though. This is like if you're gonna sit here and talk about how bad the Trump voter is, and let me tell you, these people, all they care about is his personality outside of the taxes and all this other stuff. And then I ask you a question, and I say, so why did people vote for Biden? Many of them voted because they just didn't want Trump. Yeah, I don't know the numbers on that. You should know those numbers.
What? I just don't know that offhand. I mean, we can look it up.
You should.
Why do I need to memorize?
Can I make
because that is your job, and people look to you to know this stuff.
a quick point?
Can I just get? There's just one thing I want to say here.
Yeah,
go ahead.
This entire Biden hid stuff, it's so
true.
Oh, it's such a
hid
in his basement.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about
he did though. He hid a lot of times, but
can I get a statement now? Okay. If I were on the right, I would stop saying that because it's embarrassing to Trump that he lost to a guy who hid in his basement.
It's not.
That's the crazy thing.
It slightly is, I agree, but not really, because it's not about the people. It's about the establishment. It's about the media. It's about how they upheld him. It's about 4+ years of TDS. Like, come on, bro. Come on, bro. You're really going to do this? You're really going to act like the entire media conglomerate didn't coalesce against Trump for 5 straight years? I mean, more than that. Come on, bro.
President, your guy, Joe Biden, is the greatest hide and go seek champion of all time.
Wait, hold on a second. He's not your president?
He's my president.
Oh, okay. He's our president.
But he's your guy. He's the guy you're defending. You're defending him right now to say
only that he's better than Trump because you're making me do this.
The only reason.
But you're even that's true, that you're only saying he's better than Trump. You still have failed to make that point. You still have failed to make any argument. And now you're just getting mad because the conversation didn't just end when you said the thing that you said. That's not how conversations work in the real world. That is only how conversations work in left-wing echo chambers.
There's no way even the liberals today are not saying he's better than Trump in executing or taking action or doing anything.
Let's find that poll.
Let's find that poll.
Credit. Well, at this point, you've lost credibility to talk about polls because you don't even know what you're talking about when you're saying. Well, I don't know if the people were voting against Trump. Let's find a poll. So if you can't agree to that
I don't know how many. Of course they were.
It's not just how many. It's if you go and look at any of these people who were doing what do you call it? Street when they're going talking to people.
Street interviews.
It's like, hey, so tell me. Who would you vote here? Trump's the worst. I would never vote for him. People didn't want to vote for this guy because 99% of the media, everybody was sitting there bashing him nonstop. By the way, same thing's going to happen with DeSantis.
Yeah.
Same thing happened with Bush. The only Republicans Democrats like is ex-presidents who are now painters. That's the only Republicans Democrats like because they're no longer a threat. Okay. Trump's a big threat. So for you to say, well, we now have respect.
Not only for him to say it, it's if he actually believes it. Because of course you're going to say that. The question is, do you really believe it? And I came into this thinking probably not, but he might really be this dumb.
Around the world,
yeah.
I don't even know if I want that. I think if there's an element of competition, because I think if China has to choose between Trump or Biden, and China would rather have Biden, that's probably not a good sign for me.
Okay. Is it a good sign if Russia wants Trump? I mean, this is kind of a silly game, right?
No, but
Russia wants Trump, except for the fact that when we had Trump, they didn't do the thing that they wanted to do. And now that we don't have Trump, they did the thing that they wanted to do. I feel like I have to talk to you like Kamala Harris. Listen, David, okay? Trump was a president, okay? And he was, a funny president. But now we have different president. Joe Biden is president, okay? That's how I feel like I have to talk to him. Because, I mean, you are that dumb, David. Hey, we got Mike in the building. What is good? What is good? Welcome, welcome, welcome. So I like to hear from people I disagree with, but David is not a fair debater. 100% agreed. 100% agreed. And that is why this is so damn frustrating. We were just talking about how much respect I have and the fact that you guys have been watching that we have for Destiny, even though we may disagree with a lot of what he says. He's an honest debater. He's an honest interlocutor. And that's all we can ask for. We don't always have to agree on things. Just be honest. Lonzo says, I have a feeling that Trump will be back out before 2024 to endorse Huckabee after her her speech last night, the State of the Union. I was just listening to the Timcast watch party in the car at work all day, so I got maybe 10, 15 minutes in, so I haven't actually gotten to watch that. But interesting.
But Russia is not our number one enemy. Russia doesn't control 80% of chips. Russia is not as powerful as people think they are. They have a lot of nukes. They lead the world. Totally get it. But we're seeing right now what's happening to Russia. Russia is they're powerful. You got to put them out there. They're strong. But China is really, really strong in experience. China hates America. China doesn't, they've publicly announced what they're going to be doing. There's a very big difference between China and Russia. And by the way, I'm not sitting here telling you we got to be best friends with Russia. But if China likes a president over another one, that is a red flag for me.
Yeah, it's not rare as a view on the American right that is generally, who cares what other countries think? I would almost rather they hate us. That's really common.
I didn't say that.
No, I'm not
that's
saying
what you were saying.
I
want to see a poll on that. Do you have a poll on that?
Not offhand.
Then how could you say, why, do you have a poll? Give me a poll.
Patrick.
But no, give me a poll because that's an anecdote now.
We can use this to stop any conversation.
But you're doing that. But that's what you're doing,
you
though.
Just did it with the polls about liberals
you're the
no
expert.
longer like
You're the political expert. I'm not.
Oh, come on.
You're the political expert.
See, this is what happens. Rules for thee, but not for me. I can just say stuff. I can just say things. But anything that you say, you have to have a peer-reviewed study that's polled, that's got metadata and all this. This is it's all the same. It's all the same on the left. I don't need data for the things I have because they're just true. It's just obvious. But you say something, and I can't accept it unless you have a peer-reviewed data right in front of me.
What you just did, no, you're being silly. So I'm giving you exactly what you've been doing for the first 30 minutes. Now it officially bothers you.
No, it doesn't bother me. But I think it's silly. I think we don't get anywhere.
But wait a minute. But what you're
It doesn't bother me. I just think it's silly. Like,
saying is that if the argument you give, I said, show me a poll.
Yeah.
Show it to me. You can't do it.
There's a difference between you
what?
saying that there's a specific opinion among voters that they were motivated by a particular reason. We have polling on that. We just have to find it.
You like to use that, but not when it works against you. Yeah, I didn't say hate. I'm not a hate guy. If I was a hate guy, you wouldn't be here today.
I didn't say that.
No, you said most Republicans.
Oh, bars. If I was a hate guy, you wouldn't be here right now.
Republicans would prefer if other countries hated us. You're assuming.
I didn't say most. Run it back.
Wait, you didn't say what?
I didn't say most.
You said what?
I said there is a contingent on the right that actually is emboldened by if they don't.
How small of a community is that?
Don't know.
So you're going to take the exception? Are you going to make that argument?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Patrick, I'm verklempt.
Yeah. You and I both.
You and Linda Richmond.
We're going tangent where we can't really drill down on any one issue.
Why is that? Because you keep moving the goalpost. And every time you make a point, and then a PVD responds to that point, you move the goalpost. That's why the conversation is not focused. Not because of the person who's listening to you and repeating back exactly what you've said. It's because of you, who every time you get that steelman position, and you're like, uh-oh, he did understand that. I thought that would stump him. You're like, no. Actually, that's not what I said. That's not what I meant. That's not what I mean. Isn't it, though?
Saying to you, hate is not, if I had hate, I would have not had you on.
I didn't ascribe that word to you.
You said, I said fear. I said fear.
Earlier in the show.
No. What I mean is, if China prefers any president,
yeah.
For example, if McConnell is going to be president, and China wants McConnell over, let's pick I don't know, over Tulsi.
Okay.
I'm not McConnell.
Okay.
If China wants
hey, shout out to little Everett does stuff. What is good? What is good?
Pick what is her name? Liz Cheney. If China was Liz Cheney over Pete Buttigieg, I would be hesitant there.
Okay.
Because who is the number one enemy? Who is the number one enemy? I'm actually curious what you're going to think about that.
I don't know about
this is a part that
I don't know. I haven't seen the polls.
I'm not asking polls.
I don't know about the term enemy. I mean, I think in terms of adversary.
This is what I mean. Like those of you in the Discord server, does this a rival or represent a common conversation, a conversation style where one person is being extremely pedantic and picking apart little things that really don't have anything to do with the conversation, but just try to pull things back in their favor a little bit because they're just completely lost?
I think it's Russia and China differently in different ways, as you talked about. We depend way more on China for goods that we enjoy being cheap. Because
and just don't put it in the chat, but just think in those conversations. Am I more like David or am I more like Patrick? Don't say it, just think it.
Because they're made in China rather than here.
I agree.
That confers huge economic power to China. Russia, in a different way, yes, it's the nukes. Yes, it's the more unstable leader. It's also alliances with countries where Russia's involvement can goad or pull the United States in ways that are both resource intensive and politically disadvantageous. So I think those are the
which
two
countries. Give me.
I mean,
how dare you ask me to validate the things that I'm saying?
There's the Afghanistan situation. You could argue Russia. I mean, with Venezuela, there's issues there that are more economic, relating to oil, which we've talked about. It's less about products and it's less about supply chain with Russia, although with energy, Russia is a factor. But I think those are our two biggest adversaries. I don't know if the right term is enemy. I'm open to exploring whether that's the right term. Certainly adversary.
Guys, I want to thank you so much with the likes. You've been on point. I really do appreciate that. But I'm going to ask you one more quick favor. Either the URL or even better, the share button. Just plaster this party everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Let's get this party popping. I'm doing my part. I need you guys to do yours. Let's get it going. Let's party.
Is the right term.
I think I'm on the same page with you on whether it's adversary or enemy. You know, keep in mind, I've never taken anything past ESL in my English. So the word enemy and adversary may have the same meaning to me, maybe a different meaning for you.
Fair.
It's opposition is how I see it.
Yes. So what he just said was, hey, look, David, you are just arguing semantics. The difference between enemy and adversary is not important to the context of this conversation. So while they are, in fact, different words, that's not what we're talking about. Whether they are an enemy or an adversary or a person who is not happy or an entity that is, that's not what we're talking about.
But I agree. But the part for me is if a country is overly comfortable with one and is afraid of imposing pain on them and kind of backs off a little bit, I want to know a little bit more.
Do you apply that to every country or only the countries you're concerned about, like China? And what I mean by that is, I'll give you.
I know what you're going to go to Russia.
No,
Trump.
No, forget about that. Yeah. I'm just saying, if Denmark prefers Liz Cheney over Pete Buttigieg, does that influence your thinking?
Not necessarily.
Okay, fair. Yeah. So what I'm getting at is,
well, I don't know where he's going with this, but I would also not give a crap what Denmark thinks of our politics, because Denmark is not an economic or physical threat to my life. Seems pretty reasonable, but maybe I'm an idiot. Who knows?
You're concerned not in general with the opinions.
No, I'm saying the main enemies. Denmark is not somebody. We don't wake up in the morning worry about what Denmark.
That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, and Denmark is never.
You had to ask that question with all the data. You don't know that China and Russia are not in the same category as adversary, enemy, not friend, frenemy, whatever you want to call it. You think those are in the same category?
Publicly said by 2025 we're going to be bigger than America and we're going to do this. They've never said that. There's only a few countries that have said that.
That's
Denmark's
fair.
not one of them.
So it would be fair then just to say your concern is not so when I say, hey, you know what, Spain, Portugal, Italy, France, UK, Argentina, Chile, Colombia, I give you those, they respect Biden more than Trump. That would not be a concern to you because they aren't the adversaries you're concerned with.
No, I'm curious where you're going with this. So.
No, nowhere. I'm just
nowhere. I'm just saying things. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just talking.
I have no hidden agenda.
All I'm saying is this.
I have no hidden agenda.
Here's what I'm saying. Let's just say, for example, let's say, I don't know, SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yep.
If he got up on the pulpit and for 30 minutes said great things about you, and then you got up and said 30 minutes good things about him, I'm a little worried about you. Okay? So I sit there and I'm saying, interesting.
I get the concept.
Yeah. That's all I'm saying to you.
Okay, but it only applies because it's Sam Bankman-Fried, right?
Of course.
If, Kelly, who brought me in here, said great things about me, that you would have different opinions.
She's not an enemy. She's not an adversary.
Correct. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. So really, there's this small list of countries where you would say their opinion is a concern to me.
I'm actually really curious where you're going, though.
Just to say it's not, you acted as though the general reality.
No, I'm not.
Bro, we care about the people who can affect our lives. This isn't complicated. I don't care about I don't care about Albania and their opinion of America, because they don't have the capacity to affect my life in the same way that a China or Russia does. Am I missing something? Am I stupid? He even said he's not making a point. So you don't care about generally what everybody thinks about us because you care about their, is he under the impression that Patrick Bet-David is sitting here like, oh no, Denmark doesn't like us. Oh no, I thought we were going to be good friends. All I ever wanted was for every person in the world to just love America. And Denmark doesn't like us. Is that what he thinks?
No, I'm not sitting here putting everybody. I'm telling you top enemies. Okay, so who's the third? Who concerns you the most at third spot?
I'm not sure. Okay. I mean, you could.
Not sure. He has not given one clear, direct answer. And whether that's because he doesn't know or because he's dodging the questions doesn't really matter at this point.
Make the case that, there's a view that it would be one of the so-called socialist communist nations like North Korea. People talk about, among the American.
Okay, why? That's a great, North Korea is a great answer there. Why? Why? Is it because they have nukes? Is it because of how drastically different their culture is? Is it? Now apply those things to any other country. If they can affect America physically and physical safety or economically, we all should care more about their opinion of America than a country that cannot.
And right, there's big concern about Cuba and Venezuela. I don't really share that concern. I'm not a supporter of either of those regimes, to be clear, and I'm glad to talk about that. But I don't really share that concern. I think third actually is more difficult to say.
Iran.
Yeah, Iran is a concern, not economically, but it's basically all focused around nuclear weapons and the possibility of seeding terror.
So if you know that it's either something within the economy or with war, then what are you asking about Denmark for?
So that's a very different situation than Russia and very different situation than China.
And a very different situation than Denmark.
Third, it really depends on the politics of the person that you ask. And I kind of keep an open mind on that.
David, why are you not a socialist?
Why am I not a socialist? Well,
you say you're not a socialist, unless if you are.
No.
Okay, so tell us, why are you not a socialist?
I'm not a socialist because
you grew up in Argentina, right?
Okay. I was 5 when I moved to the US. Yeah.
But I mean, some of your family, they're supporters of socialists.
Like who?
Your mom is not your mom's.
Actually, that you Mountain, that you bring this up. I've told this story before, but I'll go through it quickly. One of the I was extremely upset with how Trump handled North Korea at the time. And that was a big part of my red pilling because if you guys remember, that was the whole fire and fury. If they do anything, they're going to be met with fire and fury. And I'm like, bro, what are you saying? This is North Korea. And I kept my position was, because my dad being a big Trump fan was like, yeah, but it worked. And my position was like, well, yeah, but he didn't know that it was going to work. That was reckless as hell. What if it didn't work? Then we'd all be dead right now. And he just kept coming back to, but we're not. And they didn't do anything. And now We're in World War III. So I'm sorry if I'm going to change my mind on how Trump handled North Korea. I think that's fair. Any film says Trump tells Germany that they need to pay their share of the NATO funding and that they should not be getting energy from Russia. Germany hates Trump. The left, see, Orange Man bad.
Supports socialism or no?
No. What did I?
Let's back up.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I was 5 when I moved to the
Right.
US. Yeah.
But I mean, like some of your family, they're supporters of socialists.
Like who?
Your mom supports socialism or no?
No. Where did I get that?
There's an article that says about your mom supports socialism.
Oh, that made so okay.
Caught in a lie, bro. Caught in a lie, bro. Because as soon as he said there's an article that was, he's like, oh yeah. But listen again. When he first said it, he's like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about.
They're supporters of socialists.
Like who?
Your mom supports socialism or no?
No.
Your mom. And listen to his response.
No. Where did I get that?
No. Where did you get that? Where did you get that? It looks like somebody on this panel actually does their research.
An article that says about your mom supports socialism.
That made so okay. In Argentina,
Yeah.
in the 60s, when my parents were kids, among the Jewish community, there were lefty socialist Jewish groups. They were sort of like nominally socialist, and they were cultural and et cetera. And my mom certainly was part of that when she was 12 and 14. But no, my parents aren't socialists.
That doesn't mean anything. Just because my mom's a communist.
Yeah. No, I'm just curious of where that came from.
Why are you not a socialist?
I think that the market is a fine way to direct resources in the vast majority of areas, whether it's sneakers or automobiles or cell phones. I think that that's absolutely a fine way to direct resources. I see it as an authoritarian imposition for a government to come to a business owner like you or like me and say,
hold on, homie. Oh, that's when I need a record scratch thing. We're just going to use this. Did you just say like you or like me in the context of business? I'm going to go out on a limb here, bro, and say that y'all two are not on the same level. Just having a business does not make you a Patrick Bet David. I just got monetized. Am I in the same category? Sitting in my living room talking to you guys?
The ownership of this company, and I'm against that. I don't see any reason for that. I don't see a legal to a business owner like you or like me and say you must socialize the ownership of this company, and I'm against that. I don't see any reason for that. I don't see a legal basis, and I don't see a moral basis for it. What I am okay with as a capitalist, right? So, and I know I saw your conversation with my friend Kyle Kolinsky, and it seemed like you guys were talking past each other a little bit on social democracy versus socialism or whatever. I consider myself a social democrat, sort of in the mold of Denmark, Sweden, et cetera. Those are capitalist countries that have decided to socialize a couple more things than we've socialized in the United States. That's really the difference. And it's capitalism. It's a form of capitalism.
Capitalism to make the money, socialism to spend the money in a lot of these countries.
No, I mean, I think that's a common talking point, but maybe to distill it in a way. Are we all okay with socializing the military? Are you cool with that?
Socializing the military, yes or no in the chat?
In other words, we use taxes.
So then let me ask the question a different way. So it's funny to.
So while we're talking about that, Mike says Donald Trump is the only president to go over the DMZ border. I didn't read the end of a sentence, and I was gonna say like a boss, but Mike is there like a boss. That's absolutely true. Biden would trip over the border. And there's actually not anything there. It's just a border. Actually, I don't really know, but you know what I mean. That's the joke's there. Anza says, well, if we really have to think about things, we are all small business owners, and we are in the business of selling our time to someone. You're not wrong, but something tells me that's not exactly what Pacman meant. I don't think he would accept that answer. I don't think that's what he meant at all. Hey, we got Jake List in the building. What is good? Welcome to the party, brother. We are going through the Patrick Bet David and David Pacman podcast. Welcome to the party.
Me, just the way a lot of people on the other side are funny to you when somebody says I'm not a socialist, but then they defend socialism and go straight to military and how much it costs and how much money spent.
That's not the direction.
I'm just saying. But
it's not fair to interrupt something
Go ahead.
rebuttal
Go
for what
ahead.
I'm not doing.
Go ahead.
Okay. Are you
So I agree with Monza here. There's very, 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 very few things that a government should do, and I do believe that we do, in fact, need a government. You could almost characterize me as an ANCAP in my ideals, but I understand. We talk all the time about how you should have an idealistic view of what a utopian world would look like, and then in the practical reality, you want to get as close to that as possible, knowing that it's not possible. Shoot for the stars, you land on the moon. So Monza says talking about the military. That is the only thing that needs to be centralized. The government should be the only military that protects our borders. 100% agree. I think there is space for domestic law enforcement, but that's that's a deeper conversation. But as far as the military, that is it. That is it. The only thing that I think a lot of people would, regardless of their political stance, would say, yes, in fact, we do need a federalized military. It just, it's that's the only thing that I don't think because privatizing the military would create multiple militaries, and now you don't have a country without those borders. Jay said, add police, medical services, firemen, and the court system. We need the government to enforce private contracts. So maybe, the court system, I think so. Yes, I'm with the court system, but again, all that other stuff, privatized is better. Private security is better than the cops. Private practice doctors are better than the ER, and definitely, the fire department is probably the least hated sector of the government for good reason. But because we don't talk about that a lot, I don't really know what the economics of keeping a fire station going is. And I'm going to guess that because it's the government, it's probably pretty bad. Yes, agreed. Mike says, I am for small government, not no government. Get rid of everything that we can. The military is not one. Yep, exactly.
Okay,
guys.
Socializing the military in the sense that we have one military run by the government, our taxes pay into it, and it's centralized, and that's the military. There aren't a bunch of different, there's not, Patrick's military, and if you want to pay taxes there, and that military might have different goals than the military in Texas. Or that would
I agree on that point, as it seems like all of us do.
Be crazy, right? We socialize the military. We have everybody pays their taxes. We have a federal military. Fair?
Keep going.
Do we have that?
Keep going.
We can't make progress unless we establish where we agree or where we disagree.
I'm curious to know where you're going with this.
Well,
because you said that's not the argument you're making, so I'm curious to know where you're going with
the argument I was going to make was not that we spend too much on the military.
Okay, so I'm curious what you're
going
to say.
Make the argument then.
With the military being organized the way it is. We pay taxes, and then the military has centralized command, and that's the way it's organized. Is that okay with you at the federal level?
That's the current system that we have here.
And does it bother you, or is that okay?
Does it bother me that we have I don't even think we have at this point, but we can have a strong military that prevents future wars for somebody who lived in Iran and went through war for 10 years with Iraq and experienced all that? Yeah, I'd like us to have a strong military.
Okay, and you're okay with it being run the way it's run. We pay taxes.
I don't think we're running it well right now, so I don't know what you mean by that, but I'm not happy with the way we run it today.
These aren't trick questions.
I'm curious to know where
Let me give a different example. Are you okay?
See how he just completely, he has an argument that he thinks he knows where it's going to go. And as soon as it doesn't go exactly the way that he wants to go, he just abandons it and moves on to something completely different.
Okay with the fact that the fire department is socialized, usually at the municipality level. You're okay with that? Okay. Are you okay?
Because it's community, because it's where you live. Yes.
Are you okay with the FAA being socialized in the sense that the air traffic control is run by the FAA? There aren't all these different air traffic controls where here's a couple airlines that use one and then here's a couple airlines that use another. We have the FAA, they run ATC. This is what keeps planes from running into each other. Our taxes go into it. It's socialized. Is that okay with you?
It's okay. It's not ideal.
Socialized means we are distributing the cost among the people and giving centralized control to that entity. Is it?
I don't fly that much. Other people fly daily, or maybe not daily, but multiple times a week. Makes a lot of sense to me that if we're decentralizing all of these things, then it could be something that is socialized or centralized, but that you don't necessarily have to pay into it. I just thought of that off the top of my head, and I am not a political commentator. And great point from Monza. The FAA was just hacked and shut down for the morning. If it was decentralized, that might not have happened. He's so stuck in his own opinions. He's not trying to have a conversation. He's trying to win an argument.
Okay.
Am I willing to spend a portion of my taxes?
Not my question.
For that, yes.
Okay.
What you said that's not your question. But then he gave you the answer, and you're like, okay. So why is it relevant if he answered a question that you didn't ask? How does that either help or hurt the conversation? Or how does that? Oh my God, this guy have you ever done this in a conversation?
Willing to spend a portion of my taxes?
Not my question.
Not my question.
For that, yes.
Okay.
And then he gives an answer to what was not his question. Okay.
The difference between where I think you are politically and someone like me.
Why does that matter? Just talk about the thing. Why do you have to revert back to teams and tribes? Just talk about the thing. What was the point that you were making? You didn't make a point. You asked a bunch of questions. PBD said, I want to see where you're going with this. And then you didn't go anywhere.
Is I'm okay socializing a couple more things. Okay. So it's really where these conversations go off the rail with allegations of socialism and whatever, you just said you're okay socializing a number of things I mentioned, and there's more, right? We could say, are you okay with like the VA? That's a socialized medicine. I don't know if you're okay with the VA. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. You and I agree on socializing a whole bunch of stuff. I want to socialize a couple more, and otherwise everything's the same. I don't know that makes me a socialist.
Let me ask you a question, David. So, out of every dollar you make, what are you comfortable being taxed on, like being taken away?
It depends what I get for that. Can I give an example?
Sure.
Okay. My willingness to be taxed would be greater if, for example, my daughter's college education were paid for by those taxes. So in a vacuum, it's really hard to answer that question because it depends what we get.
Okay. So let me continue with these questions.
Please.
So who?
Monza's on fire tonight. On fire. These are just things that we were not prepared for this debate. And yet, I mean, I'm not, I don't know your how in the weeds you are with this stuff, but I certainly am not a person who's going to solve these types of issues. But both of us have been able to present reasons why David's position, which he's so gung-ho about, and thinks that just because PBD is asking and pushing back, that he's being pedantic or he's being acting in bad faith or whatever. And yet here's two examples that throw the condescension that David has out the window, or the justification for that condescension.
Who do you think makes better decision for your daughter, you or the government?
What?
Oops! This is a trap. This is a trap, David. This is a trap. Oh man.
Kinds of decisions.
School.
What kind, like college?
Let's just say if you pay me, I'm the government, but I'll choose which school she can go to, versus you don't pay me, the government, you take that responsibility and you get to choose to send your daughter to what school she wants to go to.
What do you mean the government chooses?
But I'm
Pedantic.
giving you those options. So meaning the government says these are the schools that will pay the tuition for. Okay.
You're talking college and university?
I'm talking college. And
okay.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. You're talking public school.
I didn't know which direction you were going.
Yeah, but go back to when I asked you the question. I asked the question. I said, so what percentage of your dollar are you willing to be taxed on?
Yeah.
Not taxed on, just taxed.
Yeah.
And you said it depends on what happens with what I'm paying for.
Yeah.
Right. Kind of what you said. Okay.
Sure.
So
which is a fair position. I think we all, as much as on this side, we probably all hate taxes left, right, and center, but we can agree that if we decide that we want to have a government, even if it's just the military, that we do have to pay taxes into that. Fine. It's about what we're getting for what we pay.
do you think?
I mean, is that logical? Do you agree with that, at least in principle?
Do you? Well, I think you have a good brain and a good mind to make better decisions on what to do with your money than the government can.
No, but before we go into the specific education,
he said no. He said the government knows what to do with your money better than you do. Did you miss it?
Better decisions on what to do with your money than the government.
Okay. No, but before we go into the specific education, because I'm trying to find points of agreement here, because I actually don't think we're really that far apart on a lot of these issues. Are you of the mindset that, just hypothetically, are you okay paying more in taxes if the taxes include fire, police, roads, bridges? Are you generally just
have you ever lent anybody money?
Yes, but you're not answering my question.
But I'm going to answer it to you. Okay. This is my way of answering. You have your way of answering. I'm going to answer it the way I'm answering. So, have you ever lent the same person? Have you ever lent money to somebody a good amount and they never paid you back?
Fortunately,
yep.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
I feel the same way you do about giving money to the government because they haven't had a good track record of doing right things with my money.
How do you argue with that? How do you argue with that? I don't know how I mean, the socialist progressive has never lent money to anybody. Because nobody who's ever lent money on a semi-regular basis has gotten all of their money back. So that's a red flag for a socialist right there. But then we can understand, fine, you lend somebody money, they don't pay you back. Are you likely to lend them more money? Are you likely to even think that they are a good steward of money, whether it's yours or not? Makes sense to me.
It sounds like you're saying the opposite. I'm saying I have not had an experience.
Is he serious?
Well, you're wiser. Good for you that you haven't had that experience because it sucks. But here's the part. Have you ever lent your car to somebody and it didn't work out for you?
No.
Never happened to you?
No. I have leases and I just tell them, listen, I'm the only person who can drive. I don't even know if that's true. I just say, my insurance.
Have you ever allowed somebody to borrow anything from you?
Yeah.
Have you?
Yes.
Okay, give me an idea. Something, anything.
Something like that they broke or something like
whatever
that.
you lend somebody.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. And people don't really ask me for stuff very often. Like
this is a serious question here, man. Like the world is relying on you giving the right answer.
What have I mean, maybe when I was like 14, I lent somebody a Discman and they did.
Are you a video game guy? Are you a gamer?
Not really.
So what do you do for fun?
Bike, read, travel.
You ever lent a bike to somebody?
God, no.
So you may not be.
No, I've lent a bike. No, I've lent a bike.
Okay, so have you ever lent a bike to somebody?
Yes.
And they jacked it up?
No.
You've never had that happen?
No.
Can you imagine that this might happen, bro? Is it really worth this much time trying to get you to understand that you can lend somebody something and it doesn't work out the way that you want it? This is what I mean when I use the word pedantic. You understand the concept that he's trying to get at. Exactly, Mike. Exactly. He is trying to win the argument. He's trying to stay away from, well, this happened, so that, bro, just like, no, that's never happened to me, but I understand the situation that you are trying to present. I can understand what it might feel like if I lent somebody money and they didn't pay it back. I can understand what it felt like if I lent out a bike and it didn't. So again, oh my God, you guys are on point. You guys are on point, taking words right out of my mouth. Brings us back to the original question. Is he stupid or is he a liar? Or is he both?
Then you're living in a freaking utopia. That's why you don't understand economy yet, maybe.
I have undergraduate and graduate
degrees
in economics.
Part, but that's concerning as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
that probably means I know less.
Well, no, not necessarily. That just means you programmed. It's a different story to think in one way because that
disagree
part,
with you.
But that part is true. A lot of it.
Of course you disagree with him because you are programmed to disagree with him. That is the claim.
I was programmed and then deprogrammed.
Well, when you got 13. To one that's a true monopoly of professors on the left to the right. That's a pure monopoly. But let me go back to the question, what I'm asking. You asked me the question, are you comfortable, as long as what they do with the money?
That wasn't my question.
What was your question?
My question was, as a general principle, are you okay paying a little more if you get more?
Same question. In my eyes, it's the same thing. Here's why the answer.
And again, I have to be fair. It would be a lot easier if Patrick Bet-David would just say yes. And then explain why it is not a good question, why it is too simplistic of a question, why is it a loaded question. This is why we're stuck. They're both being stubborn right now. At least, PBD is trying to be there in good faith. As we can see, that is not the case for David. But that I do think is a misstep in terms of the podcast.
The answer is no. Oh. Okay. The reason why the answer is no, I love your sarcasm. The reason why the answer is no is because
See, he was trying to hone him in, and he didn't get the answer that he wanted.
If I give somebody, a relative, $1,000,
Okay.
it's the last $1,000 you're going to give me. I'm telling you, bro, I'm going to pay you back $1,500 in 2 years.
Yep.
Never get it back.
Okay.
2 years later, you come back to me. Hey, this time give me 5,000, but I promise you, I'm going to give it back 10 grand.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Here you go. 2 years later, he comes back up. Dude, this time I'm asking for 10, but I'm changed.
Right.
I'm good, bro. Trust me.
I'm a changed man.
Give me the money. I'm going to fix it. If you give it the third time, you're an idiot in my eyes. We keep giving money to people with zero accountability, and we just keep saying, here goes
What
this
money
money.
are you talking about?
Did he just say, what money are you talking about? We're talking about taxes. Hello. We are talking about taxes. All of these analogies are about taxes. You just asked him about taxes. Maybe I missed it. Maybe he didn't actually say that. Maybe he's not that dumb.
People with zero accountability, and we just keep saying, here goes
What
this
money
money.
are you talking about?
What money are you talking about? Oh my God.
$1.9 trillion.
But money for what programs?
Any programs that we're giving money to that there's no accountability for is being wasted. Anyone.
The easier question would be, which programs do we have receipts for? What have you ever seen where your tax dollars go to something and you get you get a line item list? You get any kind of confirmation that this money is going anywhere that you want it to go? Oh, never. Never. That's the money we're talking about.
One of them.
But name
include
one.
military. Include any of the
Military, income tax, sales tax, property tax, any kind of tax.
entitlement programs that we have.
Like which one?
Include welfare, include food stamps, include any one of them. We can pull it up and I'll tell you right now, any one of them.
What I don't understand is,
A lot is what you don't understand, friend.
what do you mean by there's no accountability?
So accountability is similar to responsibility. And so when you do a thing, to take accountability for it is to admit that you did it. So if you spent money in a place where you weren't supposed to spend it, or the people who gave you that money didn't want it spent, and then you lie about it or act like you didn't do it, that's not taking accountability.
Can I give an example, please? Because I think what you're trying to say is
that you don't know where I'm going with this is an issue. Because so what you're saying is you know exactly what happens with the money when you give it to when you pay taxes?
No, I just don't understand
Exactly. No, you don't. So that's what we're talking about.
what you're talking about.
You really
We're talking about the money, not knowing where the money goes. No, I don't know where the money goes. I just don't know what you're talking about when you say you don't know where the money goes.
don't know what I'm talking about.
Let me give you some examples.
Can I just give one example and then we can open this up and you guys can have fun doing what you're doing? What I think you are saying is fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And I think what Patrick is alluding to is the fact that we are now at $30 trillion in debt.
Okay.
And the fact that we keep piling on this issue of like, I get it. We all need military. We need the police. We need the firemen. We need all these social systems. We need a social safety net. We need welfare. We need Medicaid. We need
Do we though?
Medicare. I think
No, we do. That was a good opportunity.
what his point is like, at what point is enough? Now we want to pile more stuff into our storage unit that is already filled to the brim, and we're going to keep piling and piling and piling more. And at what point is he saying, can we stop funding the government this way? Because it's not a good look for us, because we're at 31, 32, 35 trillion. And what he's saying, I think, is like, we're going to have to make some cuts and make some adjustments.
Okay.
And you're saying, let's double down. Let's keep adding some to this stuff.
I didn't say that.
No, I'm like, you want to add more systems, you said.
I think
You said I want one or two more.
No, but wait a minute. You really didn't understand what I just said.
Did he not understand it, or did I not?
I'm asking you.
I want to get to just a very specific example of a specific program that you're displeased with.
Buddy, anything.
So you're against all government.
So again, this is where, like, okay, if David Pakman really is that dumb, then Patrick Bet David, give him an example. Just pick. Oh, you just listed a whole bunch of them. Take income tax. Take property tax. Take any of them, and show him how they take They take money off of your paycheck, and it goes to stuff, and you have no idea where that money goes. You know how much they're taking. Damn straight, you know how much they're taking. You just don't know what they're doing with it.
programs.
I didn't tell you all government programs.
So which ones are you against?
If you give money into programs that you're coming out saying, hey, we're going to spend $88 million for this.
Okay.
If you want me to pull it up and we can go through expenses and tell you which ones works and which one doesn't, we can do that as well if that's what you want to do. But if you constantly come to me for more money, let me just put it to you this way.
Yeah.
What does it mean when a company or an individual is in debt $200,000?
When a company or an
individual,
let's
just say I'm in the $200,000.
Okay.
And it was $100,000 5 years ago.
Okay.
It was $50,000 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It was $10,000 15 years ago. I come to you for another $50,000. Right. Should you lend it to me?
Probably not. No.
What do we?
There we go. So you do understand.
What are we doing? What are we doing? We're lending our taxpayer.
It sounds like you're analogizing.
But we're lending our taxpayer money, and we keep getting into more and more and more and more in debt. If the government was an individual or a corporation, I don't understand why investors keep giving this government more money when they have no cash.
The critical answer is the government and
the critical answer. Okay, I thought we were just going to get a regular answer. We're getting a critical answer. Okay, the critical answer is the government.
Countries are not like households or companies. That's the difference.
Is it though? Okay, sure, fair. How so?
Just it's not an.
That's not true.
Not
though.
analogous.
That's not
it's
true.
Not analogous.
That's not true though.
No.
The word is analogous, not analogous.
Meaning it's okay for us to keep going into debt. That's okay.
That's not what I'm saying.
So what is different about it?
It's important to have a balanced view that when it comes to, and what's crazy about this is I'm not advocating for getting more and more into debt, right? Trump did.
Yes, sir, you are. That is what you don't understand. When you want more social programs, when you want more socialization, that is going to cause more debt. That costs more money. Great point, Mike. They absolutely take it with, and if you, I hate the government so much.
Did a great job of it blowing up the deficit. The deficit, we still have a positive deficit. It's slightly lower.
I didn't say Republican or Democrat. I'm telling you, I'm not supportive of it, period.
Presidents, generally speaking, increase the debt.
But first make the argument on how different it is to give the analogy of personal household, that it's okay for the government to increase its debt, but not on the personal side.
It's not a question of it's okay. It's not the same. And what I'm struggling with, Patrick, is that like everything I'm saying is just being relayed to me, usually interrupting me incorrectly. So now I'm having to clean up what you think I said to them.
Oh, Tyler. Oh, Tyler. I know it. Let's just leave it there.
And answer the original thing. My point is
you said those three are different things.
They are different.
Explain why.
They are different things.
Explain.
With a household or corporate budget or debt, you at some point at the end of the day don't have any more recourse to carry the debt, and you either have to declare bankruptcy or you have to all the things that you know. With a country, of course, if the economic growth becomes decoupled from the growth in the national debt, that is a problem. We've seen it in many countries. But in the United States, and again, I'm not saying who cares about the debt or the deficit, but I think we have to appreciate that there's a difference. If your economy keeps growing, if that national debt grows more or less in parallel with the growth of the economy, and it continues to be backed, you don't get to that day where there is the you're now being evicted crisis that an individual has. That doesn't mean, let me say this one more time. I'm not saying the debt doesn't matter. There are people who say it literally does not matter. I'm not saying
here's the question. Okay, so but let me kind of try to.
Yeah, I don't feel like, and again, some of this is a little bit above my head. I'm not the best economics guy, but I don't feel like anything he just said was anything in response to anything that we've been talking about. Can somebody connect the dots, or is he just word salad again?
To give the point of the example I want to give to you.
Yeah.
So what is a sign when an institution keeps increasing its debt? What sign is there? So if I keep getting fatter, is it because I'm a big bone person, or it's because I may have a bad diet and not exercising? What do you think?
I guess it. I
don't know. I would have to see the data.
I forgot.
You personally? I guess I'd have to ask your doctor. I don't know.
You're a small bone guy. You don't seem like you were big when you were. Have you ever been 200 pounds?
No.
Okay.
No.
So if you all of a sudden next time you come on the podcast, you're 250 pounds.
You would be worried about me. You should be concerned.
So can you accidentally become 250 pounds?
It would be a number of accidents in a row.
Exactly. Which, by the way, you probably.
No, it would not be a number of accidents in a row. It would be a number of choices in a row.
Enjoyed your dinner, you probably enjoyed your food,
right?
But if you came back 250 pounds, as a friend or even somebody that's in the similar space that we're creating content,
right?
Should I off camera say, "Hey, bro, what's up?"
I would appreciate it if you did.
Okay, I should do. You're a father, you got a kid. I'd like you to be around for your daughter.
Thank you.
Statistically, we're a better society when we are.
Right.
Okay, so if you come to me and I'm smelling bad, I'm not shaving, I look like crap, I have nothing, and I'm getting worse week after week after week. Should you question and say, Pat, is everything okay?
I think so. Yeah,
I think it's a good idea.
These are fun examples.
I'm trying to.
These are fun examples and they're directly analogous, but they don't really support my position. So I'm just going to once again say they're fun and silly and condescend to you.
Have fun with
so
you.
different
But
than
no,
what
it's
we're
not.
talking about.
If a country keeps increasing its debt year after year after year after year after year,
right?
Should we not be concerned?
We should be concerned about whether we're spending money in the right ways. We should be concerned about whether we're collecting the right.
Then what are you disagreeing with?
Another $1.9 trillion.
I'm not saying that. That's the thing.
I'm not saying that. That's not what I meant. That's not what I said. Yeah, it is, bro.
You know, I don't.
But are saying that because you said the only difference when you went to your example of military and you wanted me to say yes. And you said, look, I'm not a socialist because I think this. And he said, the only difference is I just want 2 or 3 more programs. And what I'm saying is we can't afford it today.
Okay. That's
maybe
I'm saying I want, not only is it bad to want more programs, I am unhappy with the number and scope of programs that we have right now. It doesn't seem like David Pakman can understand that somebody could possibly think that and also not be retarded.
20 years.
But and I worry that I don't know if you think I'm talking in bad faith or if you maybe don't understand my political views, but I think
both of them, as Monza said. I don't know what I don't know what your political leanings are because you keep changing what you're saying. And I mean, it is frustrating. I am not often left speechless at people's stupidity. I'll get choked up and speechless at emotional stuff, but rarely am I speechless at somebody's stupidity. But Dave Pakman has got me there.
I think differences that are actually much more subtle than you think they are being blown up as if there's this crazy difference here about what's going on. We're definitely using different rhetoric in this conversation, but I don't know whether we're actually understanding each other really that well, because I'm with you. If there are programs that are wasteful, how do we define wasteful, right? That's the difficulty. But if there are programs that are wasteful, if there are programs that are not economically stimulative, if there are programs that are being used for fraudulent reasons or whatever the case, I'm going to be right there with you saying we need to do something about this. The things I'm looking at when they are done in other countries, the country doesn't become socialist. You can still own your business. They don't socialize your business. They don't communize your business. None of those things happen. Many of these countries have really good business environments, but they're just saying, hey, we have enough riches here that this capitalist system has created, which I'm in favor of, where we can do a couple more things.
Okay, so what are those things and how are they done? And how is PBD wrong about the we can't afford it right now? That is how you move this conversation forward. That is how you move this conversation forward. But I'm gonna guess that's not gonna happen anytime soon.
That's all I'm saying.
What I'm saying to you is
you don't want it.
No, it's not what I'm saying to you. That I don't
see. And then when you have situations like that, he just explained it. David Pakman just explained his position yet again, and there was no misunderstanding on Patrick's part. He said, "Yes, I understand that is what you're saying. I understand you. Now, can you understand me? Let's see if he understands."
Want it?
Yeah, we can't afford it.
If you can stop interrupting this entire damn show, freaking,
it's not fun, is it?
No, I'm good with it. It's part of having conversations with people. It doesn't offend me. But if I sit there and I say, David, we can't afford it right now.
Okay, I would say, what do you mean?
I would tell you it's called.
I would say that affording something means having enough money to be able to pay for it. So if we cannot afford it, it means we don't have enough money to pay for it.
$31 trillion.
Okay.
Is what it's called. We're in debt. A lot of debt.
Okay.
And you may not have to pay it back. Somebody has to pay it back. Your 7-year-old's going to have to pay it back, but that money's not going to print.
7-month-old's
going to have to pay it back. Someone's going to pay it back.
Yeah.
Okay. That $31 trillion, you're not just one day going to say, guys, let's just write this thing off. You guys okay, China? Hey, Japan, you cool? Just write this thing off and just forget about it. And let's start again.
Yeah.
How cool would that be?
Well,
we can't do that. We have that debt. We can't afford it right now.
One of the things about a lot of these issues is, first of all, they're way bigger than any conversation where we just like list the programs and say we cut. If you look historically, countries don't cut their way to economic prosperity. Countries tend to grow their way to economic prosperity. You with me so far?
Yes.
You with me so far?
Countries grow their way out of economic prosperity.
No, that's the opposite of what I said.
Countries
grow their way into economic prosperity. They grow.
That is what he just said. He just said that. But he said, no, that's not what I said. Because he said in instead of into.
Prosperity. You with me so far?
Yes. Countries grow their way out of economic prosperity.
No, that's the opposite of what I said.
Countries
grow their way into economic prosperity. They grow by
I've heard
building
that
businesses.
one too many times. So let's keep getting into debt, is what you're saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
So what are you saying?
What you're saying. Over the long term, if the government spending is economically stimulative, it will help to grow the economy. It's fundamental demand side economics. So like, as an example, there are certain government programs that are are these cigars, by the way? I just noticed this over here.
You can take it.
If countries spend money on, I don't know, you seem to be looking something up. I don't know if you're paying attention.
I'm listening to you. I am listening to you. Go ahead.
If countries spend money on economically stimulative programs with a high economic multiplier, they can create growth. If countries spend money in ways that are not economically stimulative, then it increases the debt. So for example, just to pick two different programs, I don't have any emotional attachment to these two programs. I'm just going to list two programs: food stamps and what is happening in here, by the way? Are those gummies?
Yeah, taking vitamins.
Man, this is
healthy
great
for you.
I know.
I don't want to be a 400-pound guy.
Food stamps have a high economic multiplier. Okay. Tax cuts for the very rich have a low economic multiplier. I'm not passing any judgment in any way.
Bro, I'm like, I'm trying to diagnose why he's doing that. And I know that, obviously it's because he's uncomfortable. But like, well, by the way, are these cigars? Have you never seen a cigar before? What are you doing over there? Don't fucking worry about it. Just say the thing that you're saying. We've been here for, they've been there for an hour and 10 minutes. And you have yet to say a single thing.
I'm just telling you, there are ways that the government can spend money that is good for the economy and ways that is not so good. That's my only point.
What were the two programs you said you wanted to add on?
I think we should have some kind of minimum level healthcare system for everybody. And it would actually be cheaper than what we have. What we have includes people that go to the emergency room as primary care, which is insanely expensive. Sometimes they don't pay their bills, and that leads to everybody who does have health insurance is just absorbing that cost.
Mm-hmm.
It would just be cheaper if we provided everybody some basic level of care.
I do. I mean, that is a very nuanced thing for it to work out the way that I think everybody would be happy. But I do genuinely or generally agree with that. That there's some level of basic, keyword basic care that we should be entitled to, if for no other reason than people already are entitled to that care. They just have to pay for it, and like he's talking about, they can't pay for it. So he is right on that to some extent, but
there are states that have done it. I think that's just a basic thing. And secondly, I would like to socialize some aspect of paid family leave, parental and maternal. Not hugely expensive. It's economically stimulative in the sense that when other countries have done it, they find that productivity ends up being higher when parents return to work, and it's been widely studied. These are just like two things.
They're more productive than not doing anything when they go and do things.
We're already paying for most of them, either in terms of productivity losses or through the healthcare that we pay for to absorb people who don't pay and use the emergency room. It can be done, revenue neutral.
What percentage, like if going back to it, with what we have right now, the way it is today, what percentage of your dollar are you comfortable paying in taxes?
1%.
Really?
Less than Abe Lincoln imposed. No, listen.
By the way, I'm not going. This has nothing to do with what I'm telling you.
Yeah, no, I
pulled up a different story. I'm not going to this. But what percent are you willing to pay today?
I am not a high tax guy. Okay.
What's high tax?
High tax. I mean, listen. I don't want to get too much.
Why did you say it if you don't know what it means? Why are you doing that? What is going on in your mind where you think that, like, fine, if you came into the conversation thinking you can get away with this stuff, that's one thing. But time and time again, over the last hour and 12 minutes now, you've been saying things, and then you've been asked to qualify them, and you can't. I'm not a high tax guy. Okay, what is a high tax guy? What?
Much into my personal finances, but like I don't like that.
I'm not auditing you, bro.
I don't like that.
Simple question.
I don't like that close to half of my income is going to taxes.
You don't like that?
I think it's too high.
What do you think is reasonable?
Oh man, does it include healthcare in college or not?
I don't know.
I can't stand these people, and it's not because of his politics. It's because of how he speaks. This is not a fun this cannot have been a fun conversation to be a part of. And these exact things can be spoken about and discussed in a way that is enriching for everyone involved. This ain't it, homie.
Yeah,
just
I mean,
give a number though.
I
say it doesn't.
I
say it
think
doesn't. That's
No
on you.
healthcare, no college.
No healthcare, no college.
Status
What
quo.
we have today.
I would love to be in the 31 total.
Just so you
Yeah,
know,
I mean,
we're on the same page there.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, the difference is the following.
Yeah.
One time I'm doing a podcast. I don't know who I'm doing a podcast with. Anyways, this was like a year and a half ago.
Sounds explosive.
And then no, it wasn't explosive. Actually, you know what I like about podcasts like this?
Yeah.
It makes me go research a topic. So one time we did a podcast about taxes. And you know how taxes at one point 90%. It was a 90% taxes, and it was like for a long time.
Ronald
This is
Reagan.
Ronald Reagan.
Wouldn't do more
You know
than 2
how
movies a
Hollywood
year.
was. This is what they're doing. This is what it was like.
So you're talking about a 90% marginal on the very top incomes under Eisenhower,
Correct.
right?
And I make my point without you freaking intellects with degrees to interrupt this freaking high school graduate.
See, that's
guy,
ad hominem.
Okay. All right. So
No, it's not.
These two Jews bullying me right now.
Saying that you're interrupting somebody is not an ad hominem. Stop saying words that you don't know what they mean.
So we're talking about taxes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I said, let me go find out what's going on with taxes here and the history of it. Okay. So we send our research
On point, Mike.
team. And I said, send me anything you can on taxes. You can assume this was like a very exciting 2 weeks of my life. Just studying taxes. It was awesome. It's a great experience. I can only imagine what it's like to want to be an accountant. It's got to be like a, fascinating experience.
High suicide rate among accountants.
Yeah. So you know what happened? The one data that came about on when taxes got started, the history of tax.
There goes monetization. So if anybody would like to help, and Morty does need treats.
You know the whole story, but here it is all this. I'm not going through that part. But I wanted to find out because a lot of people on the left say you can't compare governments to companies to, families.
You can. It just might not be useful.
But meaning it's not the same thing. You can't do that financially, all this other
And he interrupted again.
stuff.
Yeah.
So you see the Lincoln thing that, story pops up where, back in 1861, this guy goes up and says, hey, U.S., we kind of need some money.
Yeah.
This war was so expensive for us. We're going to have to tax everybody 6%.
Yep.
But I promise you, when we pay it off, we'll stop taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what happened?
Well,
after they paid it off?
The taxes didn't end.
No, it ended.
Oh, they did end.
Bro, this almost made me spit my drink out.
Let me read it to you.
Are you
Can
talking
pull
about the
this
3% or the 6%?
So watch this here.
Okay.
On August 5th, 1861, Lincoln imposed the first federal income tax by signing the Revenue Act, strapped for cash, which the government is kind of like, they don't have cash. They're in debt. Yeah. So they need cash just like a corporation or a family. We don't have cash, so we need some debt.
Yep.
With which to pursue the Civil War, Lincoln and Congress agreed to impose a 3% tax on annual incomes over $800. As early as 1861, Lincoln had began to take stock of the federal government's ability to wage war against the South. He sent letters to cabinet members Edward Bates, Gideon Wells, and Salmon Chase requesting their opinions as to whether or not the president had the constitutional authority to collect duties. According to documents housed and interpreted by Library of Congress, Lincoln was particularly concerned about maintaining federal authority over collecting revenue from ports along the southeastern seaboard, which he worried might fall under the control of Confederacy. The Revenue Act language, Okay. According to the U.S. Treasury Department, the comparable minimum tax income in 2003,
We'll come back to this if we need to,
after adjustment for inflation, would have been around $16,000. Congress repealed Lincoln's tax law in 1871, which means there was no more taxes. But it came back up, obviously, in 1909. So this is an example of a story where we need some money.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the people. The people say, listen, here's some money, but I hope this stops. It's going to stop. So
it ain't gonna stop. There is nothing so permanent as a temporary government measure.
the moment we allow the government to use this power too much, they've abused it.
Okay.
And for me, my only argument is if I have to choose between giving you $1 million, that's going to sound crazy. Okay. I hope this doesn't get your head too big and you get too confident here.
Please.
If I give you $1 million or if I give $1 million to the government, I'm willing to bet you're probably going to create, a better climate with $1 million than the government would. And if I have the choice
I would agree. And that's still David Pakman.
to give $1 million or $1 billion to creators, job creators, small business owners,
Content creators. Hey, BBD, hit me up.
on what they can do as a source of investment versus giving that money to the government, if there was a FICA score, if there was a FICA score, I don't know what your FICA score is, but you know the range. 400,
Very high.
Okay,
Extremely high.
400 to 820, give or take. That's
Yeah,
the number
yeah.
where it's at. If we had to give a FICA score to the U.S. government,
Yep.
what do you think their FICA score would be today? Yeah, but he needs polls.
Give me the polling on that. No, listen here. I mean, what you're saying is super interesting.
You know the point I'm making now?
Yeah,
Because I want to be clear.
No, it's a clear point. And here's one of the things that I think I'm guessing we would probably agree on, which is when you think about the way that we organize society, this isn't politics. This is just like sociology, philosophy, kind of like reality. Once you get a group of people bigger than about 150 people, okay? If you want that to be run in some way that works, what we might define as works, you have to start introducing some level of centralization. That doesn't mean with 150 people, you need the tax system and everything that we have right now. But it's just kind of like a reality of organizing societies, that as societies grow from 150 people, and think about it, 330 million people now in the US, 8 billion people in the country. The idea that you have, which is, I'll just pick some people to give $1 million to instead of the government, it just doesn't work.
That's so stupid. Because sure, maybe at 150 people, it doesn't. There's some centralization needed. That doesn't mean the government that we have now is needed. Those are not the same thing.
Some things have to be centralized.
I'm having fun with you, buddy, when I'm telling you that. But the point I'm trying to make to you
the
is
idea
the
is an interesting one.
No, but the
it's
point
not.
Okay. The point. No, it isn't interesting. The point I'm trying to make to you is that's how the U.S. government was ran.
Yeah.
The country you and I are living in.
Yes.
It was ran that way. Guys, we don't have money. We go to the people. I promise you, once we pay this off, we're going to stop taxing you.
Yeah.
And we accepted it. No taxation. So we accept, we're like totally fine with this. We're game with this. And then now it's pure abuse. We don't have a choice now like we did back then.
Yep.
It was ran like a company. It was ran like a family, having their finances in order. Today, America's FICO score is in the 400s. In the 400s, what you should be able to finance? Nothing.
I don't know, 60% down, 30% for cars.
It's at 400. It should be 100% down.
But so what would you want? So you said you were with me on like low 30s for taxes.
I am.
Right? Okay, yeah. So really, it sounds like the issue is more.
I would want a flat tax, and what I'm saying, I would want a flat tax, meaning I'd like to go somewhere between 10 to 15 to 33, and a time to go to 30.
That's not flat, is it?
I get that, but what I'm saying is, if America, like right now, we need to pay off debt. Guess what?
Yep.
Tax me 33.
Okay.
But let's gradually pay some of the stuff off. I would like for them to say, we're going to go off a budget of 25% or 20%. The 13%, every year we're going to pay off the debt. Okay, but here's the problem.
Yes.
You know why that'll never happen?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, I don't know.
I'll give you my reason why.
Congress people will never win on that type of.
So guys, in this new poll, I don't know the exact terminology. So when I say progressive, I don't mean progressive like David Pakman. I meant the way that they have it now. So those of you who are business owners and all that stuff, let me know what you guys think. Because I use my dad's accountant, so he just tells me what's good, and I just follow it. So let me know what you guys think.
Agenda.
If we have no term limits, these guys are going to play whatever games to.
You're for term limits.
Are you kidding?
Oh, me too. Absolutely.
You kidding?
Guys, we just found some common ground with David Pakman, Patrick, David. Term limits on the agenda.
My challenge isn't my challenge is we're giving money to people that have proven to have no clue what to do with it, and the debt keeps climbing.
Now, when it comes to like social safety net, right? Can I tell you my view on this stuff, and you tell me if you agree, right? I moved to the U.S. as an immigrant. Okay. I had the benefit, if my parents had to pay for my initial schooling, like if they had to pay out of pocket for elementary school or whatever the case may be, my mom wasn't working at the time. My dad was just starting a job where he didn't make a lot of money. They couldn't have afforded if that public school said, we're going to charge you, right? So I immediately got the benefit of that. Follow along, right? I got the benefit of police protection and then eventually all these different things, contracts. So when I started my show, intellectual property. So the way I see it is I've been extraordinarily fortunate to be able to build my business and get to where I am, thanks to a whole bunch of things that everybody paid for through taxes. So my view now is let me finish up. I'm also okay. Like I recognize, I've got these great employees. Many of them had public school educations, and they have certain protections when it comes to safety in the world. All these different things.
You should be able to do all that with no more than 30%.
No, I'm not even getting to 30. But
hey, we got Kelly Green in the building. What is good? What is good? Welcome to the party, brother. Glad you are here. Good to see you as well. We are back with our boy David Pakman, and this time he is getting some real pushback, and he is not standing up well to it. Welcome, brother. Glad to see you.
So I feel it's almost like a patriotic thing where if taxes are properly set and being spent on the right things, I think now my success, which only exists because of previous taxpayers through all those programs I mentioned, it should go to help other people who don't have
that's the wrong mindset, in my opinion.
Okay.
And let me tell you why I think it's the wrong mindset. Because, okay, you ever had a job?
Have I ever had a job?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
No, you don't have a job right now. You're a business owner. Have you had a job?
Oh, yeah,
working for a corporation?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you there for 5 years? Like, did you work for a company for 5 years?
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of funny, but I worked for the now defunct retailer Circuit City for 5 years.
Really?
Yeah, selling extended service.
They pay very well, but I don't know when you work. They were paying very well in the commission.
I got laid off when they went from commission to hourly.
Yeah.
The people who were making too many commissions, they didn't want to pay us hourly. They laid us off.
Check this out. Okay, so let me see if what year was it you were working at Circuit City?
It ended in 2003. So it would have been like
the era. Yeah. By the way, can you tell everybody how much a good salesperson at Circuit City was making?
Well,
if you remember, because I'm willing
to say this. I worked part-time because I was like starting college.
Check this out.
30
So well, we're going to get back to that, but David has a great comment here in the context of the fact that we just last week looked at an older interview with David. And it's funny how much of a roach Pac-Man looks like when somebody doesn't beat around the bush and actually pushes back. And that's why I was really disappointed with trigonometry, because they are very much in line, or at least way more in line with Patrick Bet David than they would be with Pac-Man, and just nothing. And I think that was 2 shows in a row, and where we did. No, I don't think it was. But within the span of a week, we had Pac-Man not getting pushback, and we had Anna Kasparian not getting pushback from Ben Shapiro of all people. But thankfully, PBD coming to save the day.
3 hours a week, and I was making 75,000.
That's insane.
Yeah.
What? Hold up. What?
2003. So it would have been like
the era. By the way, can you tell everybody how much a good salesperson at Circuit City was making?
Because I was working at Best Buy in 2007, 2008, but that was I was an hourly part-timer. And I didn't calculate how much money I was actually making, because I was 17 and it was just extra money. But it certainly wasn't $75K a year.
Well,
if you remember, because I'm
willing to say this. I worked part-time because I was like starting college.
Check this out.
30 hours a week. And I was making 75,000.
That's insane.
Yeah.
At Circuit City. Yeah. Okay.
They realized it was insane. And they're like, we're not paying these people
But that's
anymore.
bullshit though. Oh. That's bullshit though, because that's why they went out of business.
Right.
The model was working.
Yes.
You guys were doing your
Best
part.
Buy came up,
dude,
and then Best Buy's paying $7 an hour.
But you're about to validate my point. So check this out. This is a perfect example here.
And those of us who are not stupid already know where this is going. What did it start out by saying? The now defunct Circuit City. Well, what is the main thing that you talked about in the change between when you worked there and then what happened? The commissions, huh?
The perfect example is here.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, you know how you go to a funeral and everybody's mourning, and maybe you don't know the person, but you're going because it's somebody you don't have a relationship, like it's in.
Oh my goodness gracious! Oh my goodness! We've got the LFR family van. Oh my goodness, this guy! I gotta get there. Oh, he is such a great commentator. I love what his channel is doing. He is always, checking out good videos. I think he started off doing reactions to like music and stuff, and some people pulled him towards more political stuff. And he just wasn't very initiated with this stuff. And he would look at like Liberty Hangout videos and Jesse Lee Peterson, all of these things. And he was a big inspiration on how, when I changed over to TheIndianJesus, that I wanted this to be a journey. And so LFR family, thank you so much for the super chat. And now the sponsor of the stream. So I'm gonna let this go while I change the banner. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Let me get that. Actually, before we do that, let's get the link to this great man's channel.
Or somebody like that, sure. But just to paint on everybody's face, you feel it, right? Yes. So for me, when I hear a company going out of business, breaks my heart, especially a company that's been on for a long time. Yep. Because to start a company is very hard to start a company. To make it last past 5 years, super hard, 10, 20, 30 years, and then create hundreds, if not thousands of jobs, it's not easy to do. Somebody and a group of people have to sacrifice a lot, right? Okay, so what you're saying is the following. Yep. Hear me out. Okay. So the people who started Circuit City, okay, those who started Circuit City.
I just dropped the link to the LFR family, link to the channel in the chat. Please definitely go check that out. Man, thank you so much, man. That really, I say it every time, but you guys know that I put my heart and my soul into this. And I know that you guys probably don't have deep pockets, just like I don't have deep pockets. But when somebody comes out like this, like, oh my goodness, man, like thank you so much, man. Thank you. Yeah, let's give them shout outs. Hell yeah. Boom. Thank you so much, guys. And then, the link right there. Please go check out his channel. Thank you so much, brother. Let's get back to the party.
Those who paved the way before.
So wait. Yeah, he made $75K.
Sacrifice 30 years to start a company.
I want to get to the point that he was making. But yeah, so David Pac-Man was working part-time at Circuit City, making $75K a year. and see why. Hey, Kelly Green, sub to LFR family. There you go. Oh, so did Indie Film. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. But so David Packman was saying he made. Oh, right. Morty, he's right here. He's right here. So every super chat, go lay down. Every super chat comes with a treat. And since we are up at close enough to $50, we get one. And take one. And two. Thank you. Morty, thanks you so much. So, David Packman, the other guy, is making $75K a year part-time at thank you for the reminder, Mike. $75K a year at oh, this is a different one. Holy crap. Oh my god, bro. Holy moly, bro. Look at this. We're giving him a whole handful now. Look at that. Say thank you to Van. Say thank you to the entire LFR family. What's that? What's the hat website? Van, drop that. Is it Sick Hats or something like that? Let them know. I will drop that link. Man, you're awesome, man. 75K part-time at Circuit City.
For me, you know how you go to a funeral and everybody's mourning, and maybe you don't know the person, but you're going because it's somebody you don't have a relate, like it's in-law or somebody like that.
Sure.
But just the pain on everybody's face, you feel it, right?
Yes.
So for me, when I hear a company going out of business, breaks my heart, especially a company that's been on for a long time.
Yep.
Because to start a company is very hard to start a company. To make it last past 5 years, super hard,
right? 10,
20, 30 years, and then create hundreds, if not thousands of jobs, not easy to do. Somebody and a group of people have to sacrifice a lot, right? Okay, so what you're saying is the following.
Yep.
Hear me out.
Okay.
So the people who started Circuit City, okay, those who started Circuit City.
All right, so here we go. So the point was he was making 75K, and then they switched from commissions to hourly.
Those who paved the way before you, and they came and they crushed it, and now there's new management, and now because the people before you paved the way, you should accept lower salary to give back to the people that paved the way before. But it's not the people before that paved the way. It's the people today that are running Circuit City. You're actually not giving back to the people that paved the way. You're giving it to the idiots that are running Circuit City today. That's what's going on in America today. Meaning, you and I love America. I lived in Iran 10 years. I lived in Germany 2 years. I was in the military, and I come from a family politically on complete opposite sides, but I love this place. It's an amazing country. My responsibility on how I can contribute to society isn't through paying taxes. It's through creating jobs. It's through, when I pay my taxes, I paid a lot of taxes this year. A lot of taxes this year. Last year was a lot of taxes. I've been paying a lot of taxes, period. So, but for me, when I pay the taxes and I ask, where did that thing go to? Okay. What happened with that? What are they doing with that? If they're doing such a great job with it, why does the debt keep going higher? Why are we, keep not seeing any kind of return? Things are still same thing. Both of them are now asking to raise more money. Oh, it's only the left, the Democrats that just want to go. No, that's not. It's both of these sides who are part of the same camp. Another 1.9 trillion, another 2 trillion, another 2.7 trillion. I'm not for it.
Okay.
And so this goes, oh, Indie Film, what is good? What is good? You are not shamed. You are very, 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 very. Oh, wait, let me get him on camera. Here you go. They are feeding you tonight, bro. Say thank you to Indie Film. Thank you so much, brother. I really do appreciate that. No, you are not shamed. Guys, the fact that you guys are here, don't let anybody shame you into feeling like you have to pay money. I just love that you guys are here hanging out with me. If you want to, I sure as shit ain't gonna stop you. But thank you so much, guys. I really do appreciate it.
So all I'm saying to you is the same way the Circuit City folks ruined the great job you had making 75 grand, you're working 30 hours a week.
Yep.
They came to new management, decided to change the compensation structure that was working. That's the perfect example of how Circuit City went out of business. Same thing that a lot of politicians are doing today.
Yeah, it doesn't seem at all analogous to me, but I love talking about selling extended service plans, so we can stay on Circuit City if you want. But in all seriousness,
it doesn't seem analogous to you.
It doesn't really seem.
Oh, really? So let me ask you a question. Why did Circuit City go out of business?
Well, let's see. I'm thinking back now. They went out of business because when they switched people from commission to hourly, they got rid of the people that were doing really well because they didn't want to pay us the hourly equivalent.
Oh, wow. So they got rid of the entrepreneurs. They got rid of the... No, so it's not analogous at all. They got rid of the people that are self-motivated people. Got it. So that is actually the perfect example. Because they changed the comp plan. They increased taxes for the people that were working. That's not at all analogous.
They didn't increase taxes. They just laid me off.
Did the $75,000 people make $75,000 again after they changed the comp? No, they did not.
At a different job.
Not at Circuit City.
Not at Circuit City.
You're laughing because you see the point. They left to a different place.
But then you got a new job and started making more money.
But the point is, this is why people leave in California.
So after all of that, After all of that, they actually agree. And Patrick Bet-David was right. And we could have gotten there so much more quickly. Instead of him trying to win the argument, he simply had the conversation.
I was just going to say, isn't that exactly analogous to people getting
what's
the hell
going
out of
on.
New York and California instead of high tax states that come to low tax states?
So, I mean, we can talk about high and low tax states. The effective tax rate, especially if you own cars and homes in a lot of places, ends up being very close.
Stay on Circuit City.
Let's get off of Circuit City.
No, I don't want to get off of Circuit City.
Exactly. Let's get off of Circuit City. That's not working towards my point. I don't want to talk about things that don't help my point.
On this point, because that is the point, though. David, that's the point.
But I'm trying to have a different conversation.
I'm sure you are. I'm trying to
stay
on
not because
this
it's a more advantageous conversation.
Because you're saying it's not analogous.
What I just want to know from you is, I get it with the company. Circuit City deserved to go out of business, and it was allowed to go out of business, and that was great. I'm with you because they made a terrible business decision. I'm completely with you. What I'm asking you,
are you though? You sound like you're arguing a lot for somebody who's completely with you.
Is on a human level, in a country as rich as the United States, 330 million people, all these different things. I'm not saying no one should be rich. I'm not saying taxes should be 60. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying for the little comparatively that it would take just to make sure that there's no hungry kids, for example, the little thing. You don't have to go to the ER when you have a problem. You could, isn't that worth it to you?
Isolate this. We can go to that. Stay on this issue. Don't digress. Stay on this issue. By the way, just out of curiosity, who's your guy? Like when you were, who do you look up to? What comedian guy, your style do you look up to? I just wrote a name down because you remind me of.
I don't know.
You sure? You don't have heroes? You don't have comedians you like?
No.
David, you got someone you like.
I'm just
This guy doesn't lend money to people. He doesn't lend people their cars, and he doesn't have anybody.
You don't have a celebrity, a comedian, a politician.
Who do I like?
You didn't have anybody you watch, like a Bill Maher, guys like that used to. I like this guy.
Like I'm a big Bill Maher guy. I love Chappelle.
No, none of that.
I mean, I casually would watch Bill Maher, but I mean,
are you a John Stewart guy? Or are you a,
I would watch John Stewart a little bit.
So let's go back to Circuit City.
Okay.
Forget I digress. That's my fault.
I want to know about your name.
Here was my technique for selling the service plan.
Yeah.
Do you want to know that? No. Okay.
You're staying on Circuit City?
He's digressing.
We can stay on Circuit.
But do you know why I'm staying on this topic?
No.
Because it is extremely relevant and is directly analogous to the thing that you're not understanding. So similarly to how in the Discord server, when we have our panels and discussions, and somebody will not understand the point, and then somebody tries to restate it, the point is to understand what is being said. That is why it is restated. There's no point in moving on if we didn't get anywhere with the first conversation or the first part of the conversation.
Okay. let me this is
there's a metaphor here. I promise you.
In the business world, okay, when a guy or a person leaves a company, they leave for a reason. In the sales industry, many times they leave because comp changed. Okay.
Yep.
So what happens with comp? This is what typically happens with comp to our salespeople. A guy sits there. This is 2003. You said that's what 20.
I believe so.
Holy shit! You're making 75 at 18.
Yeah.
Okay. So check this out.
I got in this. You want to really know a crazy story? That's
why I love Circuit City stories.
I was audited.
He is only changing the subject to this story about being audited because the conversation is not going the way he wants it to go.
Because it wasn't plausible that I was making that much. And so a guy showed up, an investigator with a recorder, and they're like, "So where exactly did you make this?" It was a crazy thing. My mom sat with me. I was like, "Mom, I don't know what's going on."
This out.
That's not that crazy.
Computers.
Dude, I know a lot about the Circuit City folks because I recruit a lot of Circuit City folks after that happened to the insurance industry.
I remember that happened.
But this is why. But here's the part though, because you guys were sick. Circuit City sales training was awesome. Same was Bally Total Fitness. By the way, I'm a Bally's guy. Okay. Right? So Circuit City is sitting there and they're saying,
"Oh, real quick, Jay is out. Thank you so much for stopping by, brother. I really do appreciate it. Hope you have a good one. Still waiting for you to join the Discord. Remember, guys, the link is in the description. It is free, and that is where we really get into the dirty stuff. Not dirty, but just, don't worry about YouTube. Thank you, brother. Have a good one."
Who the hell is this Pac-Man guy we're paying 75 grand a year, working 30 hours a week, and he's 18?
Right.
He shouldn't get paid that.
Correct.
We should only pay him $6 an hour.
Yes.
There's no way this guy's worth it. We're overpaying him. Some idiot at the top said what? We're overpaying him.
Yeah.
Okay. So they came up with this idea that let's fire these guys that have charm, charisma, sarcastic, witty. People like them. They're selling. Awesome. Who cares if he makes 75? They flipped it on him.
Yep.
That happened to me. When I was when I was 21, I just got out of the military. So people at Bally's at one point were making 180, 200 grand a year. In the 80s, in the 90s, salespeople. By the way, Circuit City was paying 180, 200 a year to salespeople. Circuit City was killing it.
It was like one guy making that much.
Well, one guy per place.
In Connecticut. No. There was no one in our store making that much.
Well, maybe not your store, but there's a lot of guys that were making money at Circuit City. If you're 30 years old making 75, there were plenty of guys that were making money.
I was 18 years old.
I'm sorry, 18 years old making 75. Yeah. A lot of people were making money at Circuit City doing sales. So here's the point.
Please.
Guy changes his comp.
Yep.
He lost you. okay, you get fired. You go elsewhere. You do other things.
Yep.
Did a lot of other people leave?
Well, anybody making under 10 an hour in
It's a yes or no question, bro.
commissions was too bad of a salesperson. They got rid of him. Anybody making over 20 an hour, there were 2 people in our store. I was one of them. They got rid of us. So they only kept
So yes is the answer to the question.
those 10 to 20.
This is what I talk about. Again, I sorry for those of you who are not familiar with the Discord conversations, but the question, did anybody else leave, was there to set up the point. It wasn't the start of a new conversation. Well, some people left because of this, and some people needed to do that. Dude, I'm trying to make a point. It's a very, I need to know whether or not more people left or not. That's the only reason I'm asking. It's just a yes or no, and then let me move on with my point.
So they kept the most average
That's why
people.
Socialism doesn't work.
Well, no, socialism would have been keeping the under 10.
Socialism doesn't work.
Oh, wait, I missed the exact point. Let's get it one more time.
Well, anybody making under 10 an hour in commissions was too bad of a salesperson. They got rid of him. Anybody making over 20 an hour, there were 2 people in our store. I was one of them. They got rid of us. So they only kept those 10 to 20.
So
they kept the most
work.
Yeah, that's directly socialism.
That's why socialism doesn't work.
Well, no, socialism would have been keeping the under 10.
Socialism doesn't work.
Socialism would have been keeping the
now
under
you want to
10.
flip it, don't you?
No.
You're shrewd.
But think about that. Socialism would be you got to keep the ones that are under 10.
It's not. Socialism is social.
Average. That's insane. This is crazy. This is a great conversation about things completely disconnected from
they're
political
100% connected.
But I love the conversation.
See, he does it again. Every time there's something not going his way, he'll make a comment about the cigars on the table. What are you eating? Well, you want to hear a funny story about this? Well, actually, this is not good. You're not even all of these things. Just have the conversation, bro. Please. This is your job. This is what you do for a living. Do better.
They're 100% connected, is what they are. They're 100% connected because it's like saying if you tax people less, hey, wait a minute, Elon's making too much money. These billionaires are getting too rich. These millionaires are getting too rich. This is not good. We need wealth tax. We need this. We need that. No way we should be doing this. Hey, you know, when Elon's saying something in whatever it was in California, and the mayor responded back and he says, okay, noted. Boom. I don't know if you remember this.
No.
Do you remember when the mayor or the councilman
it was in San Francisco or Silicon Valley? We should do away with him. He's like, all right, got it.
We should do away with Tesla, and they're this, and Elon is this.
Like,
and he just tweets back and says, noted. Moves to Austin. Great. Guess what? Austin got Elon. A lot of people, Florida got a lot of great talent. Texas got a lot of talent. People leave when you change comp plans. I'm sitting here giving you the example of where taxes are good. 33, we're on the same page.
Okay.
I'm willing to go 33. You're saying 30, 31, which you're a little greedy. I got to tell you.
Well,
you're greedy socialist.
This is so, first of all, come on. Yeah, okay. But are you an Elon fanboy?
Because that's a fair question, right? Are you an Elon fanboy?
Not as much as you're a Joe Biden fanboy.
No,
you're a diehard Biden.
I would be interested, actually.
If I would have known, I would have got your Biden shirt.
Biden
oh, it's obvious. You love, seriously?
No,
why is it on
serious
on your podcast said, why do you have a painting of Biden in the back?
Oh, okay. So, all right.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
What is your because I was a relatively early Tesla investor, and I still drive a Tesla. I think it's going to be my last one. I've sold the shares. Where are you on Elon? Because a couple people wrote to me. They're like, oh, Patrick's a fanboy of Elon.
Or on Tesla?
Either.
Okay, so.
Those are not the same thing, bro.
Can I take a sip?
Yeah. Is that an energy drink now?
It is owned by Tesla, by the way. It's Elon's drink. So, no, it's not. I don't.
But by the way, while he's drinking this, why are you done with Tesla? Why is this your last Tesla?
The reason.
And are you a not Elon Musk fanboy?
I have no emotional thought whatever about Elon. Okay, so here was my thought.
Okay.
When I got the Tesla shares in 2015, I thought electric's coming, early mover, range and charging network are the things that matter. This is going to set them up.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy. So I bought the shares. Eventually.
My6shirt.com to get your Elon fanboy shirt along with your official Indian Jesus official merch.
I got one of the cars. I was like, this is fantastic.
When did you buy shares?
When? 2015, 2016, February 2016, I think it was. So I get the car. I'm like, unbelievable range, fantastic. The charging network, all this stuff. The build quality kind of sucks. Everything's rattling. There's things that are held together. It seems to be by tape, but that's okay. I get it. They haven't been building cars very long. It's gonna improve. It's gonna improve. Got the second Tesla, better build quality. Still, it's the same issue 4 times now. Every time, it's literally something that has to be ratcheted, has to be taken apart. Now, the other companies that, let's be honest, Audi builds better cars than Tesla. They've been doing it for 100 years. Yeah. They don't rattle, etc. They're losing the charging network advantage slowly. Partially thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act and the.
Hey, we got Salty in the build. Oh, we got Salty in the building. What is good? What is good? Welcome to the party. We are back with David Pacman, and this time he is really getting exposed.
The high-speed.
Here we go. Spokesperson for Biden. Go keep going.
And also the range. There's more and more cars now that are matching the range. So I think the time that first mover advantage is diminishing drastically.
So David, if somebody didn't know either one of us, and they had to poll, to say who's a Elon fanboy,
Yeah.
it would be you.
Why?
Here's why.
You're against all of it.
Can I answer? Bro, why are you such a bully? Let me answer, man. One, I've never owned a Tesla.
Okay.
Two, I don't own Tesla stock. I've never bought Tesla stock.
Okay.
Okay. Because I thought it was always overpriced.
Wow.
Okay. But here's what I will tell you.
Please.
As a jockey, I'm a fan of the jockey, him being the jockey. The business, I thought Tesla, too many people who were fanboys who thought that it's just because it's him, it's going to kill it. It's down 85% for the year. By the way, but the point is, it's at the right number right now.
Probably.
It's around the number it should be, give or take. Maybe it's still not at the number it needs to be.
Yep.
But long, if it's a long investment, I think it's a good long investment. I think a lot of people got killed last year. By the way, a lot of people made money last year as well. Citadel, Ken Griffin made $16 billion last year. You don't make $16 billion during a flat economy or even slightly down. You make it because you were shorting certain stocks, and some of the famous stocks to short last year. Hence, the company and the boy you love the most, your guy Elon Musk. Okay,
he's not my guy.
Well, listen, on paper,
what he's done,
you're a fanboy.
I'm out of the stock, and I'm getting out of the car.
So you're an ex-fanboy, is what you are. It's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
The product,
He's in transition, guys.
Had a specific advantage.
Never been a fan of the product. I've never been a fan of the product. I've never been one that has gone. And by the way, I'm
gonna be honest. I don't care about this. They have one more chapter here. Strategy for Ron DeSantis to beat Trump. So let's get that. And
so, for example, when I watch Passion of the Christ,
yeah,
I actually can understand what they're saying too.
Yeah, I did not care about any of that.
Literally,
I didn't watch it, and even if I watched it, I assure you, I would not have understood it.
Yeah. Okay. So, last thoughts here before we wrap up. We got 7 minutes. You pick your topic. What do you want to do? If you don't have a topic for you, but
okay. You're in charge.
So DeSantis, what's going to happen here? What are your thoughts? Do you think it's going to be ugly? Where are you from the school of thought that there's going to be a civil war? It's already starting. You heard what Trump said yesterday. Yes. Loyalty. I'm about loyalty. But okay, give us your thoughts.
I do think so. I think Trump is furious. There have been reports for 6-7 months that DeSantis should have said, I would consider it if Trump doesn't run. And DeSantis has not said that. And you're supposed to say that. That's the loyalty test. I do. So selfishly in two ways, I hope it's an absolute disaster. One, I think it'll make it less likely either of them win if they have a year during which they're just going crazy at each other. And number two, I think it would be hilarious because honestly, either one could end up on top. I know that there's...
Yeah, let's do this right now because that is a good point. Let's see. Twitter. David Pacman, Elon Musk. Let's see what we got. All right. Well, how long is this clip? 17 seconds. This is what we missed.
You an Elon fanboy?
Oh no, it's not. No, I didn't miss that part. Okay, let's see. From him, can we get? I'm not good at. This is not what I thought it was gonna be. just for a good note. No, I guess we couldn't find it, but I bet you're right. Any film, I bet you're right.
There's this idea among some of my colleagues that DeSantis is similar to Trump, but smarter, better spoken, less gaffe prone, all these things. Trump is really good with the nicknames and the making fun of people and stuff. If DeSantis declares and they're actually running a national campaign, not Florida, but a national campaign, I would not understate the possibility of Trump really doing to DeSantis what he did to little Marco, calling Ted Cruz's wife ugly, this sort of stuff.
Okay. I thought he was going to go in the opposite direction and say that, like that's the stuff that people hate or whatever. That's obviously what got him elected. So, I mean, hey, when you're right, you're right. Fair enough.
It could get ugly, and it's not clear DeSantis will get the best of it.
The other part he's not mentioning is what he said it'd be. He would like that for a number of reasons, and of course, one of those reasons, which I share, is content.
Yeah, I don't know if I disagree. It's a okay. So here.
Hit that poll, guys. We only got 2 people.
Here's a question for you. You're on the inside strategy team for Trump. Okay. You're on the inside strategy team for DeSantis.
Yeah.
What are you telling them? I know you're going to say Trump's not going to hear anything you say anyway. But what are you saying? What would you say is a strategy for if you're like, hey, to win, we got to do X, Y, Z? What would you say?
I think I'm terrible on political strategy, but one of the
no, really, are you telling me, David Pacman? Are you telling me that you're terrible on political strategy? I just don't believe it.
If I had been advising Trump, I would have said, don't announce in November, 5 days after a midterm election. I would not have done that. If I'm DeSantis's team, I would say, listen, you're not even running. And in some polls, you're defeating Trump. I would wait continue to allow Trump to be furious, continue to allow Trump to, he had this low energy rally in South Carolina. Nobody went. He was sweating and it was bright orange. It was just horrible. Keep letting Trump do this stuff where he just looks silly. And then when you finally do announce, really think about it and do it in a way where you actually launch a formidable campaign. Instead of jumping in now and getting involved in this stuff, I wouldn't do it.
Very interesting feedback. Okay.
So Mazda says, I'm not sure. Take two. I'm not sure if DeSantis can win a national election. I think if Trump does actually make it to 2024, DeSantis needs to be his running mate. I disagree. I am with Indie Film. If he is not going to be our president, I want him to stay in Florida. We need people like him who are in those positions. And so we know that people who have power, some level of power, it doesn't necessarily translate when you become the when you're in the big fish in a little pond and then you go up. It doesn't necessarily translate. That doesn't mean that I looking at the landscape as of today, that he's probably the person that I would most like to win. But I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world if he stayed in Florida and then ran in 2028.
Okay. Question. Do you have a book you're promoting? Is there anything you're promoting?
It's being written still, so I don't have it to promote.
So what would...
That's what Jenks said 5 years ago.
Would you like us to drive to? Your YouTube channel or
I would
Twitter?
love...
Nah, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing that. Sorry, bro. If you had been there in good faith, I would have let you shout all your stuff out, but no. So this is why it is so important that we do this show. This is why it is so important that we have these conversations. Because, I mean, let's see how many people or how many subscribers he has. David Pakman, The David Pakman Show.
This is The David Pakman Show.
He has over 1 million subscribers. Oh, can't see it. 1 million subscribers. Over 1.5 million people have said, yes, I want to hear more of what you have to say, David Pakman. Those 1 million people likely are either old enough to vote right now or are going to be old enough to vote by election day. So if we don't have these types of conversations, I mean, again, thank you to valuetainment for actually having the conversation with the two of them. I'm gonna be doing that stuff. I just gotta, build my clout a little bit so that people know who I am, and the TheIndianJesus carries some weight. But until then, we got perfect timing. Let's get him out of the way so you can. Yes, Indie Film gave you another one. He is being very generous tonight. Thank you, Indie Film. Shout out. So it's just sad, and that is a good point. That is a good point. So let's look at his most recent videos. So, ooh, yikes. Okay, that's 7 minutes ago. Okay, so an hour ago, 3K, almost 4K. Damn. Let's go to the winner. Okay, so 28,000. So I mean, that's not nothing. That's not nothing. It's certainly not. Yeah, right. He's you guys are mind melted. The sheer number of people who are watching this, consuming this, and not consuming other content, not consuming people who would push back on this, because you don't get 1.5 million subscribers being a person like that if you are actually, unless you are stuck in your echo chamber. And so we can make an educated guess that these people who watch him don't watch anything else. And so hopefully, at least one of them, if one person who is a fan of David Pakman can come and watch this and watch because they're probably not going to watch the Valuetainment podcast, but if they watch this and see the breakdown and see that, when he talks, I kind of, it makes sense to me. But when you actually break it down, it doesn't make a sense at all. But yeah, that's a live show. We're talking about a video on demand that he posted yesterday. So, I mean, I don't really know what point you're making is there. but Timcast is the largest live show in this time slot on YouTube. So I don't know what to tell you about that. Aside from like whatever they're putting on the establishment channels and stuff. But that again, that's exactly why we need to do this. So this was at least a lot more entertaining than the last one, where again, without pushback, all it does is show the people, like using the example of Ben Shapiro and Anna Kasparian. Without that pushback, all that shows is people who don't watch the Young Turks and don't watch how slanderous and vitriolic they are, and just how much they lie. They can look at and see, oh well, I mean, this lady's not too bad. Maybe all the people who are talking all this smack about her just don't like her. And same with the other way around. All these people who are thinking that Ben Shapiro is some awful person, because there was no pushback on anything. Now they're going to look at Anna and see that she sat down with him, and the way that they think. Now you've platformed him, even though it was his show and his platform. Maybe not bigger, but way more engagement. It's it's just it's not the numbers that we're talking about here. They don't match up. Thank you, David. They don't match up. The people who should be getting the views don't get the views. The people who are spreading the things that are destroying discourse in this country and probably around the world are getting pushed by YouTube and the I don't know who they is. Whoever they is, they are helping David Pakman. And so when you're talking about the amount of interaction that they get, then David Pakman gets that type of views with the push, being on the side of the establishment. He says all of the things that MSNBC or CNN wants people to hear. And so, whether or not you liked him or not, the fact is he's saying things that they don't want people to hear. And he's not the only one, and I'm not. I think he's the best, but that's up to your opinion. But the point is, guys, it seems too simple and straightforward when these are just plastered out, and you watch them, and these guys are good at talking. They're good at using words in the way that they want them to be used, or semantic obfuscation. They are very good at taking words and flipping them around to mean something that they don't actually mean. And that's how we got here. So this is my attempt to spin that around and hopefully get us back on track, move in the right direction. But I can't do it alone. And so the fact that you guys are here, especially those of you who donated, you guys are helping the good fight. And I really appreciate you. And even if you haven't donated, just by being here, being part of the conversation, you are also being a huge, huge, huge help. I can't thank you guys enough. And oh my God. That is a stream high. Yeah. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna take the whole bowl, and I'm just gonna put it right here. That's for all of you guys. Oh my God. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Say goodbye to the doggies. Beach body treats. Yes. Oh, awesome. Divine and Ron, I need you to join the Discord, bro. We have to have these conversations. Do love the emails. But the Discord, it's just I want to talk to you guys. So that goes for everybody. If you're not familiar, we have a Discord server that is free to join. It is free. The link is in the description. All you got to do is click it, and you're in the party. The party rages on. Every single show, as soon as we end here, we go over and we can talk about this stuff. We can talk about anything else that we want. We do watch parties. We've been watching The Last of Us. We gotta Trey, don't worry, I got you on that one. And it's just a cool place to do more of what we're doing here. There's only so much we can do on YouTube. There's only so much that we can do when I'm the guy here and you guys are over there. But in Discord, we're all equals. I mean, I'll pull rank if I have to, but I really don't like to. So please come over to the Discord and hang out with us. It is a grand old time. That is where I am headed right now. Yay. Trey always comes in from work. Kelly comes in from work. That is not an excuse. I expect to see you over there, but this buys you a little bit of time. If this is, hey, if you just want to do this, then I mean, actually, no, I would rather have you in the Discord and keep your money. That is a genuine statement. That's how much I really do enjoy this. That's how much I really do like talking to you guys, hanging out with you guys, exploring this stuff with you guys. It's fun. It's fun, and I think it's important. And so for you guys to sit here and show me that, you know, I'm not just completely blowing smoke out my ass, that means a lot to me. So thank you to each and every one of you who were here, every one of you hit the like button, every one of you who you know, is shared this, especially if you shared this, and big thank you to everybody who donated, especially the sponsor of this stream, LFR Family. Again, go check out his channel. He's a way bigger channel than me. He's got like I think he's at like 200K or something, but he's got the damn thing going. He also does he streams on Twitch. And I don't know much about Twitch, but it's I imagine he is doing the same thing over there. So go check him out. Morty is still enjoying this. So thank you. He says a big thank you to everybody. I really appreciate you guys so much. And I hate this. Now I get all cheesy at the end now. I used to be able to just be like, so that's what it was. We did the thing. And now I'm like, oh my God, they really like me. But I'm gonna try not to be cheesy. So thank you so much for partying with me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this party, and I hope you will come back every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That is when we party, and the party rages on in Discord. But until next time, guys, I have been your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, thank you so much. I am out of here. Peace.